This page is the cover of SEGA Saturn magazine from July 1995 and highlights the latest summer news for the SEGA Saturn. The main feature is RPGs on the Saturn, Part 3, mentioning titles like Riglord Saga, Shining Wisdom, Blue Seed, Magic Knight Rayearth, and Tengai Make-You Zero. It also teases exciting new titles to be revealed at the toy show and E3. The cover prominently features Virtua Fighter 2, stating it's a super fast scoop, and showcases demos of Akira and Lion. Other featured games mentioned include Panzer Dragoon, Daytona USA, and Pro Baseball Greatest 97. There's also a section listing upcoming SEGA Saturn software, including JIKU Powerful Pro Yakyu 95 Kaimakuban, Real-Time Powerful Pro Baseball 95 Opening Edition, Twinbee Taisen Puzzle Dama, World Advanced Daisen Ryaku, World Advanced War, Clockwork Knight, Peperuchao no Fukubukuro, SimCity 2000, Shin Shinobi Den, New Shinobi Legend, and Darkseid, and Layer section. This page highlights Sega's summer news, focusing on the game Blue Seed for the Sega Saturn. The tagline is, "Summer's topic is Sega." Blue Seed is advertised as a card battle RPG reborn from the popular comic anime. It emphasizes card battles with enemies and battle scenes produced by the same staff as the TV animation, promising a brand new experience in the world of Blue Seed as a card battle role-playing game. The release date is mentioned as June 23rd, and the price is 5,800 yen. There are also smaller sections mentioning other games. One is Shin Shinobi Den, New Shinobi Legend, a sequel to the action game Shinobi, with enhanced visuals and gameplay, priced at 4,800 yen and releasing on June 30th. Another is Baku Baku Animal, Seikai Dobutsu Zukan Senshuken. Baku Baku Animal, World Animal Encyclopedia Championship, a puzzle game where you battle using animal blocks and food blocks, scheduled for release in August, price to be determined. Lastly, Gakko no Kaidan, School Ghost Stories, is mentioned as a horror-adventure game with scary stories and strategic battles set in a school environment, priced at 5,800 yen and releasing on July 14th. This page showcases Riglord Saga, which is subtitled Riglord Saga, and described as a tactical role-playing game. The advert boasts about its large-scale and high-quality 3D graphics. It highlights strategic battles and diverse camera angles to create immersive 3D visuals. The game is priced at 5,800 yen and scheduled for release in July. Below the main game advert, there are smaller sections featuring other titles. Clockwork Knight is mentioned alongside Pepsi Man. And, hello, Pro Mahjong, Idle Gamble Graph, Daisakusen. It also mentions that 3D is the new mainstream, and highlights strategic action gameplay in Omocha no Kuni no Daibuken Fukoku Ban Heruhato no Daibuken Gekan, which roughly translates to Adventure in Toy Country Reprint Edition, Hellheart's Great Adventure Lower Volumes. This section mentions a price of 4,800 yen and a release date of July 28th. Finally, the bottom right of the page has an image of the Sega Saturn console and controller, with text promoting great software from Sega Saturn. This page showcases the 32X Power Big Bang, which is clearly advertising the Sega 32X add-on. The page title itself is a powerful statement about the explosive potential of the 32X. The visual is dominated by two futuristic spaceships, one blue and one red, locked in some kind of space battle with explosions in the background, really emphasizing the power and action. Running vertically alongside the blue spaceship is Japanese text, which says it's not just about being the ultimate, but also that the power-up is happening for original software too, hyping up both enhanced existing games and brand new titles coming to the 32X. At the bottom you see the familiar Sega logo and Sonic, solidifying this as official promotion from Sega. Overall, the page is a visually striking and energetic advertisement for the Sega 32X and its software lineup. This page showcases upcoming Sega 32X games. Stellar Assault, a 3D shooter priced at 7,800 yen, offers arcade-style gameplay, multiple difficulty settings, and a replay feature. Hera Squad, also 7,800 yen, with a July 14th release, boasts realistic 3D battles with giant polygon characters. Light Crusader, another 7,800 yen title, is an action RPG featuring treasure hunting, and challenging environments with intense endings. A screenshot reveals a complex ship status display from Stellar Assault, highlighting its detailed systems. The page concludes with an advertisement for the Sega 32X upgrade itself, 16,800 yen, and the Mega Drive 2, encouraging players to experience the advancements in graphics and gameplay the 32X provides. The Sega Saturn's potential extends far beyond gaming, as highlighted on this promotional page. The headline, "Sega Saturn's Hidden Power Awakens," and tagline emphasize the console's versatility through various accessories. The page showcases the Saturn and its controller, then details 3 key add-ons. First, the movie card, priced at 19,800 yen, digitally processes video for multimedia uses. Second, the photo CD operator, for 3,800 yen, allows browsing images and audio on photo CDs. Finally, the electronic book operator, also 3,800 yen, handles text and images from 8 cm CDs, offering educational content. The page also promotes video CD software, including a Virtua Fighter 2 live album, alongside other diverse titles such as Talent Dog Story, World Steam Locomotive, and Two Distant Hometown, further expanding the Saturn's multimedia capabilities. This page introduces the Sega Saturn version of Darkseid, highlighting it as a world premiere on the console and inviting players to a world of terror. It's heavily emphasized that the game is based on the fantastic artwork of the renowned H.R. Giger, known for his work on the movie Alien. They call it a super masterpiece horror adventure game. The text warns players that forbidden chapters await and encourages them to consult the manual if they get stuck. The game's story is briefly described, mentioning the protagonist Mike Dawson, who purchases an old house outside Woodland Hills and is plagued by nightmares and ominous premonitions, hinting at a dark world connection. This initial release is advertised with a special bonus, a Giger original sticker for the first pressing. The release date is set for July 7th, with a price of 5,800 yen, excluding tax. The logos of Cyberdreams, Gaga Communications, and Sega Saturn are prominently displayed, confirming the publishers and platform. The next page showcases Konami's Sega Saturn software lineup. It's heavily promoting Twin-B Taisen Puzzle Dama, a puzzle game starring the iconic Twin-B characters. The game is touted as a Twin-B character puzzle game, with gorgeous voice actors and pleasant reactions, similar to the arcade versions. It's announced as coming this summer, with the price yet to be decided. There's also a Topic Scoops section dedicated to Konami's Sega Saturn software information in general. Additionally, Tokimeki Memorial, Forever With You, a popular dating sim, gets a mention. It's described as a big-hit love simulation game for the Saturn, featuring the popular character Shiori. Alongside the game, they are releasing jigsaw puzzles based on Tokimeki Memorial with different piece counts and prices, set to release on June 16th. Finally, a Get the Soft campaign is advertised, offering information via phone lines. This page is a vibrant advert for Konami's Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 95 Kaima Kuban, which is likely known internationally as Power Pro's Baseball 95 Opening Edition for the Sega Saturn. It's heavily promoting this as the definitive baseball game for the system, emphasizing its realistic gameplay, updated player data for the professional baseball season, and immersive real game feeling. The advert highlights a sayonara arch, which is a baseball term for a game-winning home run. The game is set to release on July 28th and priced at 5,800 yen. We can see screenshots showing in-game baseball action and a cartoonish baseball player mascot with a K on his cap. Also featured is an ad for Parodius Da Deluxe Pack for the Sega Saturn, also priced at 5,800 yen and already on sale. It seems to be a compilation, including Parodius Da, promising arcade-perfect gameplay and lots of laughs. Finally, there's a mention of a scratch card campaign, where you can win Konami Sega Saturn software and goods. Prizes include a software of your choice for gold and silver prizes, and Konami Sega Saturn goods for bronze prize winners. This page is a vibrant advert for Yumi Me Mix Remix by GameArts, hitting shelves on July 21st, a Friday. This looks to be a souped UP version of the Mega CD title, promising a complete port with a branching multi-story and multi-ending adventure comic style. They're boasting about having around 7,000 animation frames and a whopping 800 animation cuts handled by Takuchi himself, whoever that is. sounds like a key figure in the production. The theme song is by idol singer Yumiko Takahashi, adding a bit of star power. It seems the Saturn version isn't just a straight port either. They've thrown in a minigame called Yumi Puzzle, and are including a 32-page all-color setting data collection and manual in a deluxe package. Judging by the screenshots, it's a charming, cartoonish adventure game with dialogue choices and puzzle elements. It seems to be targeting a younger or anime-loving audience. This page is an advertisement for Yogi Animation Gakuen, an animation school. They're proudly proclaiming themselves as educators for 21st century creators. It seems like a pretty established institution, being a corporate member of various Japanese animation and manga associations. They're highlighting a special guest instructor, Takahiko Arai, introduced as a special recruitment highest advisor professor. They've got a big claim of a 97.74% employment and debut rate for their graduates, which is impressive. They list a bunch of courses available, including computer animation and game studies for 2 years, manga/comic professional training for a year, finishing art, anime production, background art, anime/AV operator, voice actor talent, SFX special effects, animator, visual illustration, and junior novels, all with varying durations. The ad also mentions a free audition for new voice actors and talents, and free information sessions across various locations in Japan, like Tokyo, Nagoya, Osaka, and more. They are pushing for applications for enrollment, and are offering free informational brochures for prospective students, emphasizing a free one-day trial enrollment and free school information sessions. It looks like they are really trying to recruit the next generation of anime and game creators. Visually, the page is quite busy, with text and images featuring anime-style artwork and photos of instructors to give a professional and appealing look. This page showcases the iconic and enigmatic style of Warp, the game development studio. You can see their names stacked vertically on the left, spelled out with stylized TV screens. The page has a strong visual impact, with fragmented close-up images of eyes on the right side against a bold red background, creating a sense of mystery and intrigue. At the bottom, in Japanese, it says, D no Shokutaku, which is the Japanese title for the game known internationally as D. It strongly suggests this page is related to Warp and their popular game D, possibly an advertisement or announcement related to the game. The overall aesthetic perfectly captures the unique and often unsettling atmosphere that Warp games are famous for. This page is a striking visual piece, continuing with the style we saw on the previous page with Warp. The large letter D dominates the left side, constructed from what looks like fragmented screens, and within it we can see an eye, linking back to the eye imagery mentioned before. The SEGA Saturn logo and the date 95.7.28 are clearly visible at the top right, placing this within the magazine's time frame. At the bottom right, we can see the Acclaim logo alongside Japanese text that tells us Warp is the developer and Acclaim Japan is the publisher. This page is clearly related to Warp's game D and is likely an advertisement for it, highlighting the collaboration with Acclaim in Japan. This page showcases the game Idol Janshi Final Romance 2 for the SEGA Saturn. It's clearly an adult-rated title, as indicated by the 18+ symbol in the top left corner, and it seems to be a mahjong game given the title. The artwork features 3 anime-style women, prominently displayed within a heart shape. One woman is dressed as a waitress holding a tray with a drink, another is more scantily clad in a purple outfit, and the third is wearing a red jacket and a patterned hat. Below the main image are smaller screenshots, possibly showing gameplay. At the bottom of the page, text mentions a release date in late July and a price of 7,800 yen. It also highlights that this is the latest arcade mahjong game, and it is appearing on SEGA Saturn just 3 months after its arcade release. The page is an advertisement for this Idol Janshi Final Romance 2 game on the SEGA Saturn. This page introduces the charming characters from the SEGA Saturn game, likely related to the previously mentioned Idol Janshi Final Romance 2, given the similar adult-themed character focus. The title at the top reads, Let's Meet in Your Room. We are introduced to 6 characters, each with a picture, name, and age. First is Nukawa Miku, an 18-year-old girl who seems to work at a restaurant and enjoys mahjong. Next is Nakajo Hitomi, a 20-year-old who graduated from junior college and works part-time. She enjoys collecting accessories and dancing. Then there's Asakura Reina, a 20-year-old who is described as fashionable and enjoys mahjong, expressing a preference for strong men. Following is Itu Emiri, an 18-year-old who has just returned from living with family and was taught mahjong by her father. She seems to be a rule-abiding character who enjoys mahjong. Makihara Hiromi, another 18-year-old, is portrayed as a confident girl who enjoys playing mahjong in her room and considers herself lucky. Lastly, we meet Ikeya Marino, an 18-year-old boy who seems sporty and energetic. He likes games, but believes in being active and healthy, inviting the player to play mahjong with him. The text at the bottom emphasizes that these captivating characters are completely ported to the Sega Saturn, with enhanced graphics that surpass the original arcade version. It highlights the appeal of meeting these characters and enjoying a romance with them through the game. This page is all about Neo Geo World Volume 2, which is advertised as a complete information guidebook, following up on the first volume that sold out. It's packed with information on two big new titles. First up is Fatal Fury 3, Road to the Final Victory, promising complete and final details on the game. It also features a special section on Neo Geo sports games. They are also covering popular games with in-depth strategies, alongside new game info. The guidebook itself costs 980 yen. There's a section called Game Best Selection, promoting perfect guides for two games. One is for Tower, which they say won a Cody's Award in the US, and is a very popular Japanese simulation game. The guide is published by Yamaneko Limited, and costs 1,600 yen. The other guide is for Theme Park, another simulation game where you build your own amusement park, also by Yamaneko Limited and priced at 1,600 yen. We can see Terry Bogard and another female character from Fatal Fury prominently displayed, along with Ryo Sakazaki and another female character from Art of Fighting, who is advertised as being released in late June, possibly referring to a game or the guidebook itself. The July 1995 magazine contents page highlights Sega Saturn games and news. A special report on page 16 details Sega Saturn sales reaching 2.6 million units. Page 26 features a special scoop on upcoming titles like Virtua Cop and Street Fighter: Real Battle on Film. SEGA Saturn Press on page 41 showcases new Saturn releases, including Layer Section and Lunar, Eternal Blue. Coming soon soft. On page 48 previews upcoming titles like Clockwork Knight and Real Pro Yaku 95. Page 93 covers Saturn RPGs, featuring titles like Rigload Saga and Magic Knight Ray Earth. Other sections include a SEGA Saturn Soft Complete Guide and AM2 Research Institute Express Neo, focusing on Fighters Megamix. Mega Gear Party covers Super Dimensional Miracle 9. The magazine also includes regular columns and features on news, data, reader feedback, and game reviews. This page is a special report from SEGA Saturn Magazine, focusing on the Sega Saturn's impressive sales figures and future prospects. They are celebrating reaching 1 million units sold by May, only 6 months after its launch in Japan in November of last year. The article talks about how this milestone is proof of strong support for the Saturn and discusses the journey to reach this point. The reviewers believe Virtua Fighter played a huge role in this success, and the overall appeal of the Saturn and its game library is attracting new users. They note that Sega's recent TV commercials and branding are being well received, even by people who weren't traditional Sega fans. This wider appeal is seen as key to achieving their next ambitious target of 2.6 million units within the current fiscal year. There is also a section discussing how Sega is being perceived as unlike itself, in a good way, with their new marketing strategies broadening the user base beyond just hardcore Sega fans. The page includes images of the Saturn console and controller, a screenshot from Virtua Fighter showing Sarah Bryant in action, a photo of people buying Saturns in a store, and a graph showing the sales growth of the Saturn. Overall, the tone is very positive and optimistic about the Saturn's future and its ability to hit that 2.6 million sales target. An interview with Sega Saturn product manager Okumura Katsuki emphasizes Sega's dedication to providing software that Saturn users desire, fulfilling their responsibility to satisfy the audience. The page also reviews a Sega Saturn TV commercial. The commercial, depicting a child engrossed in a Saturn game to the point of ignoring his mother, sparked varied opinions. Some found it humorous and representative of the console's appeal, while others viewed it as console war promotion. Ultimately, the commercial was praised for its wit. Saturn Topics 3 highlights the changing landscape of game shops due to the Saturn's rise. Stores are evolving to resemble CD shops, offering CD-ROM-based games, with an aim to attract a broader audience and make the shopping experience more user-friendly. While this shift is seen positively, tangible results and distribution improvements are still needed. This page focuses on Sega and Saturn's presence at the Tokyo Toy Show in June 1995. The article talks about how Sega's booth was a major attraction, showcasing new Saturn titles. It mentions that while the overall toy show was slightly smaller than previous years, Sega's booth was packed, emphasizing the popularity of the Saturn. The article highlights two key games. First is Dark Savior, a solid scenario RPG from Climax Entertainment. The developer interview mentions it's a 3D action RPG set in a medieval fantasy world, with parallel scenarios and action elements. They discuss the challenge of utilizing the Saturn's CPU effectively to create a game that can be played repeatedly. The second game is from Treasure, though unnamed but likely Guardian Heroes based on the screenshots. The article mentions that Treasure, known for pleasing Mega Drive users, is developing a Saturn title. The director talks about the difficulties of making compelling 3D polygon games compared to the fun and depth of 2D games like Gunstar Heroes. He suggests they are focusing on a 2D style for Saturn, leveraging the console's power for enhanced gameplay and larger numbers of on-screen characters, contrasting it with the limitations they faced on 16-bit systems. The page also briefly touches upon the history of Climax Entertainment and Treasure as game developers. The article previews 3 upcoming Sega Saturn games. Virtua Fighter Remix enhances the original with texture mapping and improved visuals, with a focus on arcade accuracy and character rendering. Guardian Heroes, a fighting RPG from Treasure, aims for exhilarating side-scrolling action with RPG elements, evolving the style of games like Gunstar Heroes and Alien Soldier. The developers are focused on innovating within the 2D space. Lastly, Legend of Oasis, tentative title, an action RPG sequel to Story of Thor by Ancient, features the return of elemental spirits and music by Yuzo Koshiro. The developers are prioritizing polished gameplay and immersive sound design, emphasizing a player-focused approach to create a deeply engaging experience. This page details Sega's powerful presence at the Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3, in Los Angeles from May 11 to 13, 1995. Highlighting the early and surprising launch of the Sega Saturn in America. The article emphasizes Sega of America's SOA emergency release of the Saturn on May 11th in select specialty stores, positioning it ahead of the upcoming PlayStation and Nintendo's Ultra 64. The Saturn was priced at $399 and came bundled with Virtua Fighter, a lip disc, and stickers. The report also touches on the European market, noting positive expectations for the Saturn, as expressed by Mr. Satin from Sega France, who believes there is high anticipation for multimedia and 32-bit consoles. The article mentions strong third-party support, with companies like EA, LucasArts, and Acclaim showcasing titles, and even hints at Namco potentially bringing Cybersled to the Saturn. Finally, Sega Enterprises is projecting ambitious sales figures, estimating to sell more than 3 million Saturn units worldwide by Christmas of 1995. Showcasing their global ambitions for the console. Sega is celebrating 1 million Saturn console sales with a special Virtua Fighter Remix campaign box, launching June 16 for 34,800 yen. Victor and Hitachi will also release their own campaign boxes. Those who already own a Saturn can purchase Virtua Fighter Remix separately from July 14. An upcoming game event, 95 Game Zorus, hosted by Chukyo TV, will occur in Nagoya, August 19-20th, showcasing family-friendly games. The Teppia Multimedia Technology Exhibition is scheduled for Tokyo and Aoyama, December 12-15th. Super Doki Doki, Takeo Urawa, a large renovated game shop in Urawa, Saitama, offers a wide selection of games, software, books, used games, and demo units. New CD releases include Tomiko Kobayashi's single True Love, Saiko Suzuki's album, I Ga Arunaraba, and soundtracks for Twinbee Yahoo! And Lunatic Parade Volume 1. This page highlights the top 10 best-selling Sega Saturn games and the top 5 most popular arcade video games. Starting with Saturn software sales, Daytona USA remains at number 1, described as still selling well, with Virtual Hideline being a new entry at number 2, noted as Saturn's first RPG. Panzer Dragoon is in third place, praised for its original gameplay and beautiful graphics. Virtua Fighter holds the 4th spot, still selling strongly and approaching 1 million copies. The rest of the top 10 includes games like Daedalus, Side Pocket 2, Legend of the Hustler, Astal, Victory Goal, Romance of the Three Kingdoms IV, and Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Special. These games are noted for various aspects, like their gameplay, graphics, or popularity. Moving on to arcade games, Virtua Fighter 2 is at the top, followed by Ace Driver, Air Combat 22, Tekken, and Sega Rally Championship in the top 5 arcade games. The section mentions that arcade games are popular, and that Saturn versions, especially Virtua Fighter Remix, are noteworthy, and recommends checking out other games like Animal and Exion in arcades. This article presents 2 lists of highly anticipated games for the Sega Saturn. The Want to Sega Saturn Convert Top 20 Details games desired to be ported to the console, with Vampire Hunter at the top, followed by Final Fantasy series and Ridge Racer. Other popular requests include Tekken, Policenauts, and Super Street Fighter 2X. The hopeful Sega Saturn New Soft Top 15 list highlights anticipated new releases. Virtua Fighter Act leads with a significant score, followed by Sega Rally Championship and Vampire. Other anticipated titles include X-Men, SimCity 2000, and Virtua Cop. A Check section highlights Virtua Cop and Puyo Puyo 2, showcasing screenshots and previews of their upcoming Saturn releases. The Reader's Race Volume 6 reveals Sega Saturn game rankings based on player votes. The Odds Table Saturn showcases popular titles like Virtua Fighter, Daytona USA, and Panzer Dragoon, with a diverse range of genres represented. New entries include Virtual Hydlide, praised for its immersive 3D exploration but criticized for gameplay flaws; Romance of the Three Kingdoms IV, appreciated for strategic depth despite lengthy battles; and Side Pocket 2, recommended for its fun multiplayer and detailed graphics, though the story mode is considered weak. The rankings indicate a stabilization of popular titles. Games scoring 7+ points are recommended, and 8+ point games are considered must-haves for Saturn owners. Red-marked games are new entries. This Sega Saturn Reader's Race Volume 6 features game reviews and reader content. Radiant Silvergun receives a 7.25, while Kyokugen Parodius Da Deluxe Pack earns an 8.636 for its Arcade Perfect port, though sound is criticized. Perfect Pro Baseball 95 is lauded as the best baseball game on the system, scoring an 8.567. Reader comments include nostalgia for Sega Gal and PVS, plus a Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo Trick. A discussion centers on Virtua Fighter's ranking, highlighting re-releases and upcoming RPGs as Sega attempts to maintain its lead. The page includes a ranking prediction game for prizes, featuring Super Real Mahjong PV and a double chance with Kyokugen Parodius Da. Readers are encouraged to submit postcard entries. The special present is a power memory and mouse set, with a July deadline. This page is a special report announcing the Saturn version of Virtua Cop, and it's currently at 30% completion. It was showcased at the Tokyo Toy Show in June '95, and the graphics are really shaping up, now with textures applied, making it look much closer to the arcade version. They've also added civilian characters into the game, which makes it feel even more authentic. The enemy reactions are faithful to the arcade too, so if you shoot them in the leg, they'll grab their leg, or in the stomach, they'll clutch their stomach just like in the coin-op version. The screenshots demonstrate these improvements, showcasing Stage 1 and highlighting the realistic character sizes and actions, mirroring the arcade experience. It's all about capturing the essence of Virtua Cop on the Saturn. In just a month, the Sega Saturn version of Virtua Cop has made significant strides towards arcade accuracy. Improvements include the implementation of bullet indicators and a life gauge, bringing it closer visually and functionally to the original. An interview with Gakuno Takashi, head of the Saturn port, reveals the team's commitment to a complete transplant of the arcade experience, even addressing details like gun colors for the Japanese market. The team meticulously checks the game frame by frame, with Stage 1 nearing completion and work underway on Stage 3. They are focusing on precise character and camera movements, along with software-based focus adjustments, to minimize differences from the arcade version. Despite ongoing work on backgrounds, the developers are confident in continued improvements. A famous Scene 2 section highlights dynamic gameplay moments, emphasizing the action. This page continues the discussion about Virtua Cop for the Sega Saturn, highlighting the progress made in its development since the last report at the toy show. The game is now even closer to the arcade version, with developers showing off gameplay from the famous scene selection, which includes Stage 3. The interview with Gakuno Takashi continues, where he mentions the team are aiming for a complete arcade port. He assures readers that even though polygon counts may be reduced, the motion and feel of the game are authentic to the arcade. He talks about the team meticulously checking every aspect and detail of the game, even down to the color of the light guns, with a gun metallic color chosen for the Saturn version, different from the toy show version. The page emphasizes the visual accuracy to the arcade version, including screenshots showing familiar scenes, and mentions that a tiered mode, exclusive to the Saturn version and designed for home play, will be showcased next month. The development team is aiming for a summer to autumn release, acknowledging that they are still working through fine details, but are striving for a faithful arcade experience on the Sega Saturn. Game Arts announced a new Sega Saturn project, a robot action game tentatively titled 3D Robot SHT. This marks Game Arts' entry into Saturn development, promising a title featuring both robot action and anime-style characters. The page then highlights Game Arts' Mega CD catalog. They showcase titles like the shooter Sylphid, the RPGs Lunar, the Silver Star and Lunar, Eternal Blue, adventure games Yumimi Mix, Remix, and Urusei Yatsura. Dear my friends, the strategy game Tenka Fubu Ayutan, Dotu no Huga, and the mahjong game Giwaku Wambara Zashiki Chushin Hatu, Gekitu, Tokyo Mahjong Land Hen. The selection demonstrates Game Arts' versatility in game genres on the Mega CD platform. Yumimi Mix Remix is coming to the Sega Saturn, expanding upon the original Mega CD game. It's a heartwarming adventure where player choices shape the story, offering multiple paths without wrong answers. The game focuses on narrative enjoyment rather than challenging puzzles. The story features Yoshizawa Yumimi, a singing bath lover, alongside classmates Sakurazaki Sakurako, Matsuzaki Shinichi, and Morinoshita Ri. An interview with Mr. Kamisaka reveals the Saturn version is a remix to bring Yumimi Mix to a wider audience, including those familiar with the Mega CD and FM Towns versions. The team created a new animation tool, aiming for a cell animation style. They incorporated anime timesheets and utilized data compression to include roughly 8 minutes of video per candela. Backgrounds received airbrushing for improved visuals. The plus alpha signifies approximately 10 new animation cuts. This page delves into the world of Yumimi Mix Remix, subtitled Strange Things and Strange Creatures, that is, Yumimi's World. It highlights the game's setting in a school with unusual happenings and creatures, emphasizing a heartwarming story. Several character scenarios are showcased. Wake Up depicts Yumimi as someone who struggles with mornings. Swimsuit shows the characters in school swimsuits at the pool, a natural scene for a school setting. Bulma depicts Yumimi naturally changing into gym clothes after swimming. Hug introduces a male character, the department head, described as quite flirtatious, who hugs girls and gets reactions for it but seems unfazed. Panic Before shows Yumimi experiencing panic related to her vivid imagination. Finally, What Is This presents a self-propelled Daruma doll with wheels, its purpose unknown. The theme song, titled Achichi, is sung by Takahashi Yumiko. It's mentioned that this song is used in the puzzle sections of the game, and was also part of the Mega CD version. An interview segment features Utisaka and Takahashi Yumiko discussing the game's development. They mention the effort put into animation and the details of the game's packaging. The manual will have 10 pages of text, and a 32-page picture collection will be included as a package insert. The Saturn version is further described as a remix, with particular attention being given to redoing and expanding the opening demo from the Mega CD version. The Sega Saturn version of Yumi Mix Remix features a bonus plus alpha puzzle game with 40 screens. Players eliminate identical marks by selecting them, with increasing complexity as they progress. Saturn graphics are used, and a mouse enhances playability. Completing puzzles unlocks graphics. The page also includes a Game Arts special interview, focusing on a separate project, 3D Robot SHT Edition. Director Miyaji Takeshi discusses a realistic simulation game set in 2015 with projected future weaponry. The game aims for fast-paced action using robots constructed from around 450 polygons, emphasizing strategy, teamwork, and survival elements, while fully utilizing the Saturn's hardware. This page talks more about the 3D Robot SHT tentative title game. It's described as a hard-boiled 3D shooting game set in the year 2015, focusing on regional conflicts. The game lets players control armed robots and emphasizes strategic and cooperative gameplay, including multiplayer battles using Saturn's communication capabilities. The page details two robot types: the German Panther walking tank, which is heavily armored with reactive armor and armed with a 30mm Gatling gun and 4 launchers. The Russian BMW-30 high-altitude machine gun is designed for anti-aircraft combat, equipped with a ZSU-30 main gun, effective up to 3,000 meters and 9 meters, 319 anti-aircraft missiles for longer ranges, launched from a twin launcher. The text highlights the smooth and realistic robot movements, and the detailed design of the robots and explosions. Screenshots show the Panther tank in action, explosions, and the BMW-30 firing. The game aims for strategic depth in battles and emphasizes teamwork for mission success, not just solo actions. It's described as a survival game-like experience in a scene full of action elements. The bottom part mentions the British Challenger 2 tank, showcasing polygon and texture mapping quality, aiming for a photorealistic look and explosive effects. This page is a Capcom special report focusing on their upcoming SEGA Saturn releases, particularly Street Fighter: Real Battle on Film, which is based on the Street Fighter movie. The page features an interview with Mitsunami Tatsuya from Capcom, who discusses developing for the Saturn and their confidence in the console. He mentions that Street Fighter: Real Battle on Film is their most advanced Saturn title, with other projects also in progress. Mitsunami addresses the perception that the Saturn is only good for character fighter games, stating that Capcom believes it's well-suited for their arcade-style games like X-Men. The interview emphasizes that Street Fighter: Real Battle on Film is more than just a typical Street Fighter game. It incorporates elements from the movie, letting players control movie characters and experience the story. A unique feature is the cyborg character, created by M. Bison, who can learn moves from other fighters. This cyborg becomes the player character in a story mode that culminates in a fight against Ryu. The screenshots show the game's visuals, resembling Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and highlight smooth animations on the Saturn. Besides the standard arcade mode, the game features a story mode where players control Guile, and an original mode, suggesting a variety of gameplay options. The game is anticipated as Capcom's first Saturn release, and is priced at 5,800 yen. This page continues the Capcom special report, with Mitsunami Tatsuya discussing their new titles and long-term vision. He mentions interactive movie games as a departure for Capcom, enabled by the Saturn's capabilities, and sees it as a genre with potential. He elaborates that Capcom is thinking strategically about the future of gaming, acknowledging fighting and racing games as current mainstays, but predicts a broader definition of games in the future, encompassing various genres like learning software. Capcom aims to be perceived as innovative and forward-thinking in this evolving landscape. There's also a section titled, "Don't Miss This!" focusing on Street Fighter 2V. It highlights Ryu and Sagat's rivalry, with Ken expected to appear later, and teases the spiritual growth of Ryu and Ken. It touches upon fan theories regarding Ryu and Sagat, and questions who will become essential for them. Moving on, another section titled, "Arcade Heat-Up" discusses Street Fighter Zero, highlighting it as the newest entry in the Street Fighter 2 series. It mentions features like Auto Guard for beginners, Zero Counter for reversals, and in-game mysteries. The arcade release is eagerly awaited. The narrative focuses on Ryu's quest for power, mentioning his and Ken's training in America, setting the stage for their serious fighting careers. Screenshots showcase gameplay, and new characters Rose and Adon are mentioned, prompting the question, what about Nash? There is a Capcom special information section, which seems to be summarizing the details about the Street Fighter games discussed on the page. Mizuki, a 4-year-old multimedia company, is making its SEGA Saturn debut with Lupin III: The Master File. This game, a unique multimedia experience, compiles data from all Lupin III TV episodes and movies, blending game elements with an original movie on a single CD-ROM. Developers aim for user-friendliness, hoping to attract even non-otaku gamers. The game will feature extensive episode summaries and animated scenes. Mizuki seeks to differentiate itself in the game market, targeting users seeking new experiences. The company is developing several games, including Aqua World, based on the Sea Story concept, a collaboration with Masudaya Corporation. Aquaworld, set in a CG-rendered underwater environment, is already planned for a 3D release and will be ported to the Saturn. Mizuki envisions online multiplayer Saturn games in the future. Acclaim Japan is bringing the 3D hit D, renamed D no Shokutaku in Japan, to the Sega Saturn. Set in a near-future Los Angeles hospital, the game puts players in the role of Laura Harris, who must confront her murderous father, Drive Richter Harris. Announced at a presentation in Tokyo, the Saturn version of D aims for 300,000 sales, with a global release planned. Developed by Warp and led by Aino, the interactive movie game features a 2-hour time limit and no saves, promising multiple endings and a constant sense of fear. The original 3D release was a success due to popular demand. This page is showcasing 2 big strategy games coming to the Sega Saturn. On the left we have Winning Post 2, a horse racing simulation game, which is highlighted as the first proper horse racing strategy game for the Saturn. It looks like you play as a horse owner, managing your stable, training horses, and aiming to win big races. The screenshots show typical game screens, with horse stats and race information. There's even a character who seems to be your advisor. On the right side, the page features Nobunaga's Ambition, Howden, which is described as the 6th entry in the series, a popular historical strategy game set in feudal Japan. The focus is on commanding your armies and strategic battles. It sounds like there's a massive number of characters in this game, apparently over 100, and a huge variety of ships, around 130 types. The screenshots give a glimpse of battle scenes and strategy meetings. Finally, at the bottom there's a little section titled, Next, I Want to Put This Out, which shows a dating sim game called Angelique, suggesting they are considering bringing that to the Saturn as well. Sega Saturn is getting a remake of the Super Famicom title Farland Story FX, now titled FIDA, the Emblem of Justice Remake. Producer Kenji Orihashi promises a definitive version, fixing limitations of the original due to cartridge size. The simulation RPG is slated for October release, featuring a story about a liberation army fighting against an oppressive empire after a 1,000-year war. Key gameplay involves an attribute system, influencing party alignment, law, good, neutral, chaos, affecting attack routes, and one of 9 endings. The remake boasts improved animation, enhanced enemy AI, and balanced battles. Players can choose a less violent approach, with complex battle scenes. The game will present a different kind of RPG experience, where players might not always need to kill every enemy to progress. This page is all about showcasing new and upcoming Sega Saturn game releases. It mentions that following the recent toy show, there's a surge of exciting new titles coming, with a diverse range of genres and growing support from third-party developers, making the summer software lineup highly anticipated. In the new release title section, they are highlighting titles that are either already out or very close to release, and these include well-known games such as Puyo Puyo 2, the shoot-'em-up Gaiares Gaiden, the classic RPG Lunar, Silver Star Story, the vertical scrolling shooter Gunbird, and the anime-inspired title Tenchi Muyo Ryoki. Moving on to the coming soon soft section, this focuses on the games we can look forward to in the near future. This section includes a variety of titles, such as Lime, the Magical Hunter, the action-packed Psychic Killer, Taromaru, sports games Breakthrough, and Virtual Volleyball, the fighting game Fist of the North Star, Power Pros 95 Opening Edition, Twin Bee Puzzle Dama, simulation games like SimCity 2000 and World Advanced Days in Ryaku Iron Storm, adventure games Darkseid and Clockwork Knight, as well as titles such as Graduation 2, Neo Generation, the shooter Rayforce, also known as Galactic Attack internationally, and the strategy RPG Quo Vadis. The page also features a prominent stylized illustration of a woman, drawing the eye and adding a visual flair to the announcements of all these exciting new games. 2 new titles are highly anticipated for the Sega Saturn. First, Puyo Puyo 2 is 50% complete and features enhanced content over the Mega Drive version. It includes a returning immersive demo, practice mode, 2 mode, and endless Puyo Puyo, along with improved graphics and sound. Slated for September at 4,800 yen, it's a 2-player falling puzzle game. Next, Darius Gaiden, tentative title, is 10% complete. Following the success of Layer Section, it's positioned as a major shooter. A playable sample showcased up to the first boss stage at the toy show, and the initial impression is positive, including the black hole bomber weapon. It is targeted for a December release. It's a two-player shooting game aimed at hardcore shooter fans, with more coverage to come before its release. The Sega Saturn is set to receive a remake of the Mega CD classic, Lunar the Silver Star, simply titled Lunar. Currently 20% complete, it promises enhanced battle scenes, town environments, and new illustrations from artists like Tsukigami Akira and Sato Naoyuki. Another upcoming title is Marriage, a life simulation strategy game, SLG, from Headroom. This game, the final chapter of a trilogy, allows players to experience a dual-user system, exploring marriage themes and scenarios. Players can choose a life partner from a selection of 10 character portraits. The game's development progress details are still undisclosed, but it's anticipated to be an ambitious project from Elementary School Productions, venturing into new game design territory. This page highlights some exciting upcoming Sega Saturn titles. First up is Feng Shui Sensei, working title, a city-building simulation game from Hamlet, known for their 3D titles. It's being showcased at the toy show and is about improving the city with Feng Shui principles. The developers boast a strong team, including Araki Hiroshi, Ito Gavin, and Toda Seiken. The screenshots give a glimpse of the cityscapes. It's currently 50% complete. Next we have King the Soul, an action-packed driving game from Atlas. They describe it as a full-fledged drive game, being developed alongside the Saturn version of Shin Megami Tensei. The goal is to choose from around 7 or 8 cars and conquer challenging curves. Two-player mode is also in the works. It's also at 50% completion and promises to be quite visually compelling. Finally, there's Mahjong Seaside Story Sexy Idol Edition, a Mahjong game with a risque twist. It features polygon opponents and dynamic 3D camera angles. The AI opponent is said to adapt to your skill level, and of course there's undressing involved. They even mention location shooting took place in Izu. This one is also 50% complete. Overall, this page is giving us a sneak peek at 3 very different but interesting games coming to the Sega Saturn, all at the 50% completion mark and aiming to offer unique gameplay experiences. This page showcases 2 very different games. First up is Shogi Matsuri, a Japanese chess game that's currently 70% complete. It's aimed at everyone from beginners to advanced players, promising to be enjoyable for all skill levels. It's being developed with the Japan Shogi Association and is being published by SETA, who have made shogi games before. They highlight a cute mascot character and various modes for different skill levels, including quizzes and tournament play, even featuring advice from pro players. Then we have Gunbird, a popular arcade scrolling shooter from Sikyo, making its way to the Sega Saturn. This is actually Sikyo's first Saturn title. It's described as having beautiful graphics, smooth animation, and branching endings that change depending on your character choices. There are 5 main playable characters and a hidden one. Characters include a witch named Marion, a robot, and a princess, among others. They also mention 2-player mode, Hulsey. Lastly, there's a little section announcing that Sikyo is running a fan art contest for Gunbird. They are looking for illustrations to include in a Gunbird illustration CD-ROM. Prizes for the contest include a real arcade circuit board and other goods. This page delves into 4 upcoming Sega Saturn titles. First up is Tenchi Muyo, Gokuraku Keydrom, a quiz and data disc based on the popular Tenchi Muyo anime series. It's described as an OVA, adapted into various media formats like novels and creds. This Saturn version seems to be a collection of quizzes and data related to the series, aiming to be a premium item for fans. Next we have Honuma Hunter Lime, Perfect Collection, another digital anime title. This one's a Saturn port of a PC and PlayStation game. It highlights improved graphics for the Saturn and mentions it will be a 2 CD set containing 8 episodes of the anime for players to enjoy. It seems to have added Saturn-exclusive graphical elements to please fans. Moving on, Blue Chicago Blues JB Harold is introduced as a full-fledged movie adventure game starring live actors. This is part of the JB Harold series, and it's mentioned that while previous versions existed on Laserdisc and PC, the Saturn version will have Japanese voice acting and be a 2 CD set. Finally, there's Aizei Meijin, which translates to Eternal Master, another shogi title from Konami. This game boasts a strong AI opponent that can read player moves and shorten thinking time. It emphasizes the computer's strength and strategic elements. It also supports mouse control, making it user-friendly, and mentions that it aims to recreate famous shogi matches from the Edo period and incorporate user-friendly features. The Sega Saturn is gearing up for some exciting new releases. Technosoft is bringing 2 games, Hot-Blooded Parent and Child, a 2-player beat-em-up ported from the PlayStation, releasing July 21st, and Rolling Sphere World, a single-player pinball game with strategic elements, launching July 28th. Both are priced at 5,800 yen. Also on the horizon is Psychic Curse Killer Taromaru, an original action game from Twiz and Time Warner Interactive set in Edo-era Japan, featuring a monk battling evil spirits. Release details are pending, but 2-player gameplay is supported. Lastly, Exico is releasing Thunderstorm and Road Blaster in September for 6,800 yen. This compilation brings 2 classic arcade Laserdisc games to the Saturn, offering a thrilling, timing-based gameplay experience. This page showcases a few exciting titles in development. First up is Breakthrough, a puzzle game from the creator of Tetris, Alexei Pajitnov. It seems to be a colorful wall-breaking puzzle game, similar in concept to his previous works like Hatris. Next we have Fist of the North Star, an action-adventure game based on the popular anime and manga. They highlight the use of 7,000 animation frames and original scenarios, aiming for a cinematic experience and promising the same voice actors as the anime. In the new Game Scoop section, they mention 4D Boxing, formerly known as Knockout Boxing, a polygon-based boxing game. We also get a sneak peek at Princess Maker 2 for the Saturn, showing off improved graphics compared to the PC version, including some pretty beach scenes. Finally, there's a quick Tokyo Toy Show report mentioning Metal Fighter Less Than 3 Miku is progressing well, and Steam Gear MASH is playable at the show. Also highlighted is a Saturn Analog Mission Stick joystick, which is being featured in catalogs and is slated for a September release. This page shines the spotlight on Power Pro's 95 Opening Edition for the Sega Saturn, hailing it as the new benchmark for baseball games. The article delves into the reasons behind the Power Pro's craze, emphasizing its realistic approach to pitching and batting mechanics, setting it apart from competitors like Family Stadium on the Super Famicom. It highlights the game's focus on player skill and decision-making, rather than just relying on player stats. Features like Success Mode and Scenario Mode are mentioned as offering engaging gameplay depth. Pitching is described as intricate, allowing players to manipulate the ball's trajectory and select from a range of pitches like straight, curve, shoot, SFF, and sinker. Batting utilizes a meat cursor that dynamically changes size based on player skill, and also includes different batting stances for strategic play, like power hitting or bunting. The overall impression is that Power Pros delivers a richer, more strategic baseball experience, perfectly capturing the tension and excitement of pitcher-batter showdowns. The article suggests Saturn owners are in for a treat with this upcoming release. Twinbee Taisen Puzzle Dama is a falling block puzzle game for the Sega Saturn from Konami. Players clear blocks by aligning 3 or more of the same kind, with strategic use of small dama to trigger chains and send attack blocks to opponents. The game incorporates elements of the Twinbee universe, featuring a roster of characters, each with unique attack patterns, adding strategic depth beyond basic puzzle solving. The game's appeal, according to magazine writers Sakuyama and Kafichi, stems from its character individuality and charming anime art style. Mastering character-specific strategies, not just puzzle mechanics, is key. Character preferences, like Kafichi's fondness for Yumi-chan, also contribute to enjoyment. Overall, the game combines familiar puzzle mechanics with strategic depth and a charming presentation. This page features SimCity 2000 coming to the Sega Saturn, a port of the popular PC game developed by Maxis. The article emphasizes that the original developers are handling the Saturn version themselves, ensuring a quality port. They even showcased the game at E3 in Los Angeles. The page is divided into sections explaining the core gameplay loop. First, you need to build power plants to provide electricity. Then, construct roads as people won't settle in areas without them, also considering the environmental impact. Finally, build various buildings, residential, commercial, and industrial zones, along with leisure and public safety facilities, all aiming to create a large metropolis. The section points out differences from previous SimCity games, highlighting the zoom in and out features for detailed views or citywide perspectives, and the new isometric viewpoint, which allows for a more three-dimensional view of your city. There's also a fun section showcasing some of the more unusual and strange buildings you can construct in the game. The game is listed as 60% complete, slated for a September release, published by SEGA, developed by SLG, and is a single-player game. The article mentions it's already playable, even in its current state. Darkseed is a strict adventure game for the SEGA Saturn, known for its challenging puzzles and unforgiving nature. The game's distinctive visual style is a key feature, drawing inspiration from H.R. Giger's biomechanical art, similar to the Alien films. Players take on the role of Mike Dawson, who must solve a mystery within a 3-day time limit after experiencing surreal nightmares that bleed into reality. Gameplay centers on cursor-based exploration and item interaction. The atmosphere is described as unsettling, with strange townspeople and a pervasive sense of mystery. The game is structured into 3 chapters and aims to deliver a unique, Giger-inspired experience. Priced at 5,800 yen and nearly complete at the time of the review, Darkseed was slated for a July 7th release and encouraged mouse use for optimal control. This page introduces World Advanced Daisenryaku, Iron Storm, for the SEGA Saturn, a grand strategy game. It's based on the Mega Drive title, but vastly expanded. A major highlight is that you can now play campaigns as Japan, Germany, and the USA. Unlike the Mega Drive version, which only had Germany, the game promises deeper strategic elements with new systems and enhanced battle scenes, all running in impressive 3D CG. The page emphasizes improvements to the campaign mode, focusing on new systems and combat scenarios. They're showcasing the production screen, which looks cleaner, and the unit deployment interface. There's also an interview section where they delve into the core aspects of the game. In the interview, they discuss why Japan, Germany, and the USA were chosen. The developer wanted to depict the Pacific War from the Japanese perspective and include the American side. They mention the Japanese campaign will start with Pearl Harbor and focus on the harsh realities of war. The German campaign begins with the invasion of France, not Poland, and is designed to be quite challenging, estimating only a 1% chance of victory in certain scenarios. Other improvements mentioned are the introduction of unit training parameters, unit evolution, and streamlined logistics, making gameplay more engaging. The game is 65% complete and aiming for an August release, priced at 7,800 yen, and supports up to 5 players. World Advanced Daisenryaku, Iron Storm, recreates historical battles in 3D CG. The game features iconic clashes like the Zero Fighter versus the Hellcat, German Tiger I versus Soviet JS-2 meters, and naval engagements involving the Bismarck and submarines. Ground unit comparisons, such as the Type 97 tank against the Bren carrier and the Holden versus the T-34 are also showcased. Air combat includes Bf-109 Grams versus Typhoon battles and anti-aircraft gun engagements. The game's campaign will span all maps, offering diverse, replayable scenarios with potential for multi-endings influenced by player choices. It begins with Pearl Harbor for the AMAS and the invasion of France for Germany. The developer highlights the inclusion of different Yamato battleship versions, promising a comprehensive historical experience. This page is all about Clockwork Knight 2, known in Japan as Pepperushow's Adventure Part 2. It mentions that Pepperushow's adventures are far from over, and this sequel will resolve plot points left open from the first game using impressive 3D rendering. A key new feature highlighted is the Salsa Band, which appears in the opening demo and in the game itself. The developers are interviewed discussing the game's visuals and sound, emphasizing the enhanced graphics and the use of a full live orchestra for the music. They mention the opening demo and the effort put into making the visuals and sound really stand out. The game is stated to be 60% complete at this point, with a focus on making the visual demo and gameplay more impressive and immersive. The article also lists the release date as July 28th, the price as 4,800 yen, genre as action, and confirms it's a single-player game. Screenshots on the page showcase various scenes from the game, including the Salsa Band and Pepperuchow himself in action. This page focuses on Kids Room 1 from Clockwork Knight 2, highlighting the new gimmicks in this stage. The level is structured into 3 parts, forepart, middle part, and boss, and this section is the forepart of the level. The article emphasizes the greatly improved and cute graphics. New gimmicks are described as easy to understand, yet surprisingly engaging. It also hints at hidden passages within the level, even in the trump areas. The page showcases new mechanics, such as wind-up keys being used to activate things, and rotating level elements. The reviewer is impressed by the enhanced graphics, calling them beautifuls. Scene 1 specifically points out elements reminiscent of hidden routes from the previous Clockwork Knight game, like boxes that reveal items when opened. The article seems excited about the new level design and visual enhancements in Clockwork Knight 2. This page continues the coverage of Kids Room 2 from Clockwork Knight 2, highlighting the exciting addition of riding Baro Baro. The article excitedly announces that players can now ride Baro Baro, the horse character, in this stage. It describes Baro Baro riding as a key feature, allowing players to jump and duck, and even detach Baro Baro's head to attack enemies. The stage also features branching paths, adding to the level design's depth. Enemies like collapsing doll obstacles are mentioned, requiring players to memorize their positions for quick navigation. The page then introduces the boss of the stage, a giant snake made of toys, emphasizing its size and unique design. Intriguingly, the weak point of this boss is its microphone. Finally, the article touches upon a familiar Scene 2, which appears to be the stage clear bonus chance, similar to the previous game, but with improved graphics. Overall, the page focuses on the new gameplay elements introduced by Baro Baro riding, and the unique boss encounter in Kids Room 2, emphasizing enhanced graphics and engaging gameplay. Virtual Volleyball for SEGA Saturn embraced the then-novel 3D polygon graphics. The game prioritized strategic gameplay, touting authentic player rotations and a serious approach to the sport. A key feature was Bari Bukun, a volleyball-shaped navigator offering guidance and personality. The game offered 4 modes: World League with 8 countries, free play for single matches, a tournament mode, and an information mode with tutorials guided by Bari Bukun. A command attack system provided strategic depth with special moves. Additional features included replay functionality and adjustable viewpoints, VR view, TV view, P-view. Players could also customize game settings for ball speed, viewpoint, and sound. This page delves into the ninja action game, Shin Ninja Legend. It introduces the main character Shu, a ninja clad in red and white, and focuses on the game's combat system, highlighting various attacks and maneuvers. The page breaks down the controls and attack types, explaining sword attacks with simple B button presses and directional inputs, and special moves using combinations like DPAD and B. Crouching and jump attacks are also detailed, showing the variety of offensive options available, including spinning slashes and thrusting moves. Defense mechanics using the B, Y, or Z buttons are covered, emphasizing the ability to guard against blade-based attacks but not fire. The page also explains the use of shurikens, including an 8-direction shuriken technique with the A button, and an Ukemi roll forward thrust for evasive attacks. The game is noted for its realistic visuals, achieved using live-action capture for characters, promising an authentic ninja action experience. This guide covers the first 4 stages of Shin Ninja Legend. Stage 1, Miyako, features ninja enemies and General as the boss, defeated by deflecting projectiles and dodging fire pillars. Stage 2, Fujiyama, introduces climbable trees, undead warriors, and right minister in a secret temple, who utilizes aerial attacks. Stage 3, Labo, focuses on flying monsters and dragon-like creatures, with the mayor boss employing body slams and poison gas. Staying airborne is key. Stage 4, Bukeyashiki, a samurai residence, presents traps and Zakobyara characters. Players should roll past enemies, focus sword tips in doorways, and defeat the Rusiedo boss by deflecting his fire attacks. The developer encourages players to use the game's traditional swordplay for stress relief. This page for Graduation 2 Neo Generation is showcasing what seems to be a character-raising simulation game. The tagline says something like, "Even managing one person is tough, now 5 at once." It's advertised as the ultimate game balance among all consoles, and is currently 50% complete in development. It's from Riverhill Soft, slated for release on August 11th for 6,800 yen, and is categorized as an SLG for one player only. The reviewer notes that even though it's a simulation game, it's not too serious and has a lighthearted feel. The page outlines the weekly gameplay flow, starting with setting up your teacher profile, then checking student information, proceeding with lessons, reviewing lesson results, and finally, weekend activities, Leading into the next week, we get introductions to 5 of the characters: Ishibashi Misako, Tani Yuri, Yasuda Mai, Cindy Matsui, and Otsuka Saori. The page mentions that this game puts you in the role of a third-year high school teacher guiding female students. It emphasizes the importance of weekday lessons in the game's progression. They are also touting the graphics as super detailed visuals, thanks to 32,000 colors on screen simultaneously, and mentioning improvements to the Saturn version's opening movie compared to other platforms. The Circle of Saturn Users is a collection of user stories. Navigator Panna recounts breaking her boyfriend's Famicom, leading to his current Saturn obsession. Jackie describes a Virtua Fighter 2 tournament in Hokkaido, his victory overshadowed by a friendly loss to the organizer. Agarim in Tokyo prefers non-adult games, and questions a game called Detached Clothes General. Roll YR from Fukuoka discusses their love for Daytona. Moko from Kanagawa shares a humorous story of being mistaken for watching adult videos due to their intense Daytona USA gameplay. The page also includes smaller submissions, drawings, and messages celebrating SEGA Saturn games like Super Puyo Puyo Special and Virtua Cop. Konkon Gaku Gaku. User's point of view focuses on player feedback. This month's theme is From Game Users, with Love. Players share their thoughts with developers. A user wants T&E Soft to recreate the spirit of Virtual Hydlide on Saturn. System Soft is developing Daisen Ryaku for Saturn, aiming to maximize the console's capabilities. A user anticipates Super Real Mahjong PV, while another is excited about Graham's Quo Vadis. In I Want to Say Something, users discuss Sega's hardware focus, Saturn's perceived superiority over PlayStation, and the importance of enjoying games on various platforms. The Question Corner explores user perspectives on test play feedback and its influence on game purchases. This page features a user feedback section titled Gather Around. One user writes in to challenge the stereotype that all Saturn owners must have Virtua Fighter, saying they own a Saturn but don't have Virtua Fighter and instead purchased Dai Gyakuten Monogatari, possibly referring to a game like Great Historical Mystery or similar in English if an international release exists. They enjoyed it and believe the Saturn's true appeal and games like Fantasy Zone are often misunderstood. The magazine replies that this corner is designed to debunk that very stereotype and encourages more user postcards. Another user asks how to pronounce Minami Gugumo-san and if it's the same Nagumo-san from the promotions department. The magazine confirms it's read as Nagumo-san and encourages fan letters to this promotion's ace. Finally, there's a section called Polygon Professor Knows, asking about polygons, and mentions the large number of polygons involved, like stars in the sky, suggesting a focus on polygon graphics in Saturn games. This page offers a mix of reader submissions for Saturn gamers. It features a humorous anecdote comparing bad games to instant udon noodles, followed by an advertisement for Saturn tomatoes. A Nice Pose section shares an embarrassing post-workout photo. Game Life Wisdom provides tech tips for controllers, including D-pad fixes with pen refills and advice for modifying Virtua sticks. Mysterious Woman tells of a piano teacher excelling at fighting games due to her finger dexterity. I Blurted Out recounts a funny lyrical mix-up of a Gatchaman theme song with a four-cornered lunchbox and a related illustration. Finally, Longest Son's Textbook Discovery features a light-hearted anecdote about a mother finding a math problem about circles. The page blends gaming advice with personal stories and humor. This Saturn Voyager fan page features reader submissions across several categories. The Gallery of Saturn showcases fan art, including humorous depictions of characters like Morrigan and a rotund figure. Battle highlights character designs, including a weight loss transformation and a potentially unsettling artwork. Monsters presents creature art, with varying degrees of success, one praised for its atmosphere and another deemed too gruesome. This month's Amazing Person introduces 42 Boy, a Tokyo gamer humorously devoted to his Saturn and Mega Drive collections, even in old age. The page also covers fighting game experiences, including Virtua Fighter 2 Tactics, and a charming anecdote from a game center. Finally, My Saturn Hungry Saturn humorously addresses Saturn hardware issues. Numerous smaller submissions with humorous comments accompany the main sections, covering various topics from Tai Chi to muscular physiques. This page, titled From the Earthlings, showcases reader submissions for the SEGA Saturn magazine. There are humorous anecdotes, opinions, and requests from players. One story is about a mother who enjoys SEGA Saturn and Dragon Ball manga, described as unusually fashionable. Another anecdote tells of someone in a toy store encountering children wanting to buy an Atari Jaguar and trying to recommend a Saturn instead. The page also features various short reader comments on diverse topics, such as dislike for going out on rainy days, workplace experiences, and thoughts on current events. A section called Next Level, with cartoon characters Seagal and Anthony, seems to offer improvement advice, possibly related to gaming skills. The Voyager section, titled, "Do Manufacturers Really Read This?" is broken into categories like Earthling's Ring for general talk, also Saturn Goods, about Saturn merchandise, Game Tree, perhaps about gaming experiences, Mysterious Old Woman and Her Daughter, Nice Pose, Do You Know?, Users Love for feedback, My Saturn for personal Saturn stories, and Until Transplant is Abolished, which is a humorous phrase related to game ports. The page explains that Voyager is a corner for Saturn play impressions and feeling, and it encourages readers to send in submissions. Selected entries can win book coupons, and even SEGA Saturn or Mega Drive games. There's also a small apology section for something in the June issue and submission guidelines, with an address for sending postcards. This page is titled, Open Up, Secret Information Treasure Box, and it's a column discussing hidden messages placed by developers in games, focusing on Panzer Dragoon as an example. It poses 3 questions about these secret messages. Firstly, it asks, why were messages hidden? The article explains that developers put hidden messages, specifically in the Panzer Dragoon Cridrom, as a way to communicate directly with dedicated players, since there were fewer opportunities to interact with them otherwise. The message in question is a text file named readme.doc. Secondly, it questions, why can't you read the message on Saturn? While Saturn could technically read the file, it wasn't designed for users to browse files directly like a computer. It mentions that with specific software for Saturn, reading the message is possible, but generally, it's not easily accessible on the console itself. Finally, why can Saturn Cridroms be read on Mac Windows? The article clarifies that Saturn Cridroms use an industry-standard format, meaning they are readable on computers with Cridrom drives. This is why the hidden message, being a standard text file on the disk, can be accessed on Mac and Windows machines, even though it's not readily available on the Saturn itself without extra steps. The message itself reportedly contains a phrase restricting its redistribution, adding a layer of secrecy. The article concludes by mentioning the increasing trend of developers, including such hidden messages, as a form of communication. This article from Mega Drive Volume 46+6 features a popularity poll, Oz Table A, showcasing top-rated games, including Lunar Eternal Blue, Mega CD, Afterburner Complete, 32X, and Yu Yu Hakusho. It also reviews new releases, categorizing them as Hidden Horses, Recommended, or Caution Horses, Avoid. Hidden Horses include Dragon Slayer, The Legend of Heroes 2, challenging RPG with old feeling systems, Tempo, praised for its opening, but criticized for gameplay and visibility, and Nigel Mansell IndyCar, a racer with dated graphics. Caution horses include WWF Mania Tour, boring with poor visuals and controls, and Iron Hose Legend Special, poor balance, rushed development, and weak graphics. Finally, the Horse Owner's Voice section includes reader comments on anime and game borrowing. This page continues the reader's rating poll from the previous page, but now broken down into different categories, labeled Oz Table B, Oz Table C, and Oz Table D. Oz Table B focuses on famous titles that may be overlooked, featuring games like Gunstar Heroes, Winning Post, Streets of Rage 2, Party Quiz Mega Q, Puyo Puyo 2, Virtual Racing, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Thunderhawk, Thunder Force IV, and Tecmo Super Bowl. These are all highly regarded games. Oz Table C highlights titles for hardcore fans, suggesting they are worth buying. Names listed here include NFL Football 94, NBA Jam, Battlemania, Mega Swiveled, Reynos, Super Big Strategy, Illusion City, Steel Empire, and Chernov. It seems to be a mix of sports, shooters, and strategy titles aimed at dedicated players. Oz Table D is described as a hit or miss category, suggesting there might be hidden gems within less obvious choices. Games in this section include Jungle Strike, Donald Duck Grolier King's Treasure, Phantasy Star 2, Rampart, Mega Mania, McDonald's Treasureland Adventure, Ernest Evans, Thunderstorm FX, Jurassic Park, Kawasaki Superbike Challenge, and many more, suggesting a wider range of genres and potentially more obscure titles that could be surprisingly good. This page features game ratings and articles. Blood Boils Over, Ultimate Horse, by Deguchi Kaori reviews Lunar Eternal Blue, praising its emotional depth, visuals, and audio, and hinting at a potential Saturn release. Yumimi Mix Remix by Game Arts, a full-motion video title, is highlighted for its impressive animation and voice acting on the Mega CD. A section on Street Fighter 2-Plus notes its Mega Drive release before the SFC version and its bargain price. Finally, Champions World Class Soccer receives a brief mention, coinciding with the World Cup and competing with EA's FIFA Soccer, with a low rating and difficulty in obtaining. This page showcases the Odds Table F, a reader poll section for Mega Drive games, humorously titled Handle It and Get Burned. This section is for Mega Drive users to rate games, including Mega CD and 32X titles. It features game rankings based on reader votes and satisfaction. The page contains long tables listing games with their ranks, previous ranks, titles, genres, and average scores. The genres include action, table, racing, sports, simulation, role-playing, shooting, puzzle, adventure, video comic, pinball, quiz, and more. The text at the bottom is a comedic dialogue, seemingly between characters, discussing a game's declining popularity in the reader poll. It mentions a game falling from the top position to near the bottom, hinting at the volatile nature of the rankings. It invites readers to send in their votes and comments, with instructions on page 25. Additionally, there's a commentary section titled, Low Ranks Are Safe, or Stagnant? Discussing ranking trends over past issues. It mentions specific games and their ranking movements, highlighting notable shifts and battles for top positions. It notes the fall of a game from a prominent series, implying dynamic changes in reader preferences reflected in the rankings. This page showcases the Game Gear Reader's Race, featuring user-voted top games. The Odds Table GG 1-inch highlights games scoring over 8 points, while Odds Table GG 2-inches lists older noteworthy titles. Goddess Reincarnation Gaiden, Last Bible Special, 8.6666, receives praise for its BGM, graphics, and RPG elements, but is criticized for tedious commands and dungeon music. SD Gundam Winner's History, 8.4615, a rare SLG, is praised for its engaging battles and character graphics despite clunky controls. The reviewer enjoys the battle animations. Sonic Drift 2, 7.72, book score 7.0, is liked for its added driver characters, attack options, and ease of play. The reviewer hopes for more special abilities and endings. The page also highlights Confusion Ranking, where plugging has held the top spot for 6 consecutive times. The next page is an advertisement from a store called Santa, detailing prices for various Sega consoles and games. It lists the Sega Saturn console at 39,800 yen and highlights new release games like Kyokuju Parodius, Fantastic Parodius, Grand Chaser, Super Real Mahjong P6, Battle Monsters 2, Blue Seed, Shin Shinobi Den, Shinobi Legions, and Digital Pinball Bowl. For the Sega Mega Drive 2, Light Crusader is featured in the new release corner, alongside a massive list of other Mega Drive games available. Mega CD 2 is advertised for 19,800 yen, including a Wonder Mega Collection, with Afterburner 2i, Allshark, and All-Star Senki among the games listed. The 32X console price is displayed, and includes new titles like Stellar Assault, Barasu Code, and Metalhead. The Game Gear GG Plus 1 set is priced at 10,800 yen, with Wakian Land and Shining Force Gaiden, Final Conflict, in its new release section. The page also features a section for various peripherals and accessories for different Sega consoles, and ordering information for customers. It's essentially a comprehensive price list for Sega hardware, software, and accessories from this retailer. High Roller Volume 3 for Mac perfectly replicates three classic Williams arcade games, Joust, Defender, and Robotron 2084. The reviewer praises the authentic sound design, calling it a perfect recreation of early 80s arcade audio, and highly recommends the purchase. Screenshots showcase the game interface, and images of the arcade cabinets are included. Following this, the article features an interview with 23-year-old skateboarder Kenny Kuhn. He discusses his skateboarding injuries, and then recounts his experience bungee jumping from 71 meters in New Zealand, describing it as a thrilling and frightening experience. Kenny Kuhn's goal is to improve his ollie in skateboarding. Finally, a brief section features Hal discussing his enjoyment of pachinko and concerns about potential gambling addiction. Shoji Mayfield reflects on feeling misunderstood and his current work with Fujifumiya, recounting humorous anecdotes. Jun-san describes his travels in India, focusing on encounters with begging children and the complex emotions they evoke. Pondbag Sarah discusses the challenges of family life, work, and his drifting lifestyle, including details about his son and his love for barcha and mahjong. Mata Domino reviews the affordable and lively izakaya in Fukuoka. Finally, the editor, Shibuya Yuichi, discusses the frustrations of writing manuscripts on a Mac, comparing it to older systems and questioning the best writing setup. This segment of Nude na Hard explores the Sega Saturn's video output, specifically focusing on the NTSC TV standard. Understanding NTSC is key to appreciating game graphics, because consoles generate signals for home TVs. The article explains technical aspects, like vertical and horizontal sync frequencies, scan lines, and interlacing. NTSC uses 525 lines, with interlacing drawing half the lines in each field to create a complete frame. This improves perceived resolution, but results in a 30 Hz frame rate, despite a 60 Hz scan rate. The piece also explains Hertz, cycle duration, image frequency bands, and horizontal resolution. It uses test patterns to demonstrate how clarity relates to bandwidth and horizontal resolution, comparing methods with diagrams, including the differences between interlaced and non-interlaced scanning. This article explores video signal details, focusing on horizontal resolution and bandwidth, and touches on broadcast TV testing methods. It reviews industry news, including NEC's VR4300 video processor and Sony's CXA1645IC, which converts RGB to S-video. It also mentions the Hitachi ESH3 CPU intended for the Ultra 64. The article discusses game console display limitations, such as the 240-dot vertical resolution and the use of interlacing, which can lead to flickering. Standard resolutions for Saturn and PlayStation are provided. A reader's question segment addresses Saturn movie quality. The response explains, Cinepack, a software-based video compression used in games, is the culprit. Unlike PlayStation's Motion JPEG or Saturn's JPEG capabilities via VDP2, Cinepack is not hardware accelerated, limiting its quality. However, it is a cost-effective solution. The article ends with an apology for an error in a previous issue regarding Z-buffer explanations. B1, a mail-order store based in Fukuoka, announces the launch of SEGA Saturn sales. They offer the Saturn console at a reduced price of 38,800 yen, along with accessories like control pads and joysticks. The ad highlights available Saturn software, including May releases like Gokuju Parodius Da, and June pre-orders for games such as Battle Monsters. A broader selection of available titles like Virtua Fighter and Daytona USA are also listed. B1 also stocks Super 32X and Mega Drive hardware and software. They offer consoles like the Mega Drive 2 and peripherals. Mega Drive games like Ranger X and Earthworm Jim 2 are mentioned. The store also handles software for other platforms. Ordering terms include age restrictions, payment, and shipping information. B1 is open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. This page is a B1 mail-order advertisement highlighting powerful prices for Sega Saturn, Mega Drive, and Mega CD hardware and software. It features upcoming Sega Saturn releases, including Digital Pinball Dragon Showdown and Shining Force Gaiden: Final Conflict. Dragon Showdown is touted for its impressive graphics and realistic pinball action. Shining Force Gaiden: Final Conflict is presented as a must-have for fans of the series, promising smooth animation and engaging gameplay. The ad also promotes the 3-rad audio accessory, enhancing sound output for a more immersive experience. Hardware deals include the Sega Saturn console, Atari Jaguar, and Mega Drive 2, all at reduced prices. A large portion of the page is dedicated to discounted games. For Mega Drive, titles like Echo the Dolphin 2, Tecmo Super Bowl, NFL Quarterback Club 95, Sonic and Knuckles, and Aladdin are featured at drastically reduced prices, some described as limited quantity. Mega CD games like Wingpost, Sangokushi 3, and Lethal Enforcers are also heavily discounted. There are extensive lists of other games and accessories available via mail order, including various options for controllers, cables, and other peripherals for Sega Saturn, Mega Drive, and other systems like Game Gear and even Atari Jaguar. The ad emphasizes fast delivery and a campaign celebrating Sega Saturn's 1 million unit sales. This page advertises official design material collections for several games. First up is Idol Janshi Tsuchipai, a popular Game Center title, offering a collection of original artwork and design documents supervised by Jaleco. It includes character art, backgrounds, and even interviews with the voice actors and composers. It's priced at 1,900 yen. Next is Super Real Mahjong PV, with 2 books advertised, one for original artwork and design materials, and another fan book for P2i and P22 versions. Each is priced at 2,000 yen. These seem to be collections of animation cells and design notes. Then there's Lunar Eye and 2 official design materials collection. This book covers the acclaimed Mega CD RPG series, Lunar, with illustrations by Toshihiro Kawata and world-setting art. It's priced higher at 2,800 yen, indicating it's a substantial collection. Finally, Kanshin Toshi, 2 official design materials collection for a PC RPG. This book features original artwork and design materials for the Kanshin Toshi 2 game, with detailed development materials and event scene coverage. It also includes a special pinup. This one is the most expensive at 2,500 yen. All prices are tax inclusive, and it's mentioned that these books can be found at bookstores. The release for the Tsuchipai book is stated as late June. The Sega Saturn game release schedule, beginning in June '96, features a diverse lineup. Early releases included puzzle games, action titles, and sports games. July saw titles like Dark Seed and Clockwork Knight 2. August introduced RPGs and strategy games, while September focused on action RPGs and fighting games. October presented platformers and strategy RPGs, and November featured adventure and sports games. December was dominated by RPGs. This fall and this winter offered additional action and strategy titles. The 95 year-end was a major event, with a wide selection of titles like Fighting Vipers, Virtua Fighter 2, and Daytona USA. 96 spring and 96 year added more RPGs and action games. A substantial list of games with undecided release dates showcased the Saturn's potential, including titles such as Myst 2, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Dragon Force, hinting at a strong future. This page previews upcoming Sega game releases across Mega Drive, Mega CD, Super 32X, and Mega LD. Mega Drive titles include action, shooting, and RPG games like Comic Zone and Zool's Immeasurable Box. Mega CD features RPG and action titles such as Shadowrun. The Super 32X lineup offers a diverse range of genres, including sports and racing, with games like NFL Quarterback Club 95 and WWF Raw. Mega LD showcases educational and adventure titles like Goku and Myst. The article also highlights schedule changes, particularly for Acclaim games and Mega Drive titles. Games like Stargate and Night Trap may have had release date changes or cancellations. Title alterations for Saturn games, such as 4D Boxing evolving into King of Boxing and Incoming transforming into DEFCON 5, are also noted, urging readers to stay informed. This software schedule highlights Game Gear releases and developer updates. The Game Gear section previews upcoming titles like Wagon Land and Shining Force Gaiden, Final Conflict. The Softmaker information section provides updates from various developers. Hudson details Devilish Mahjong Final Romance and Tengai Meikyu Gaiden, Daion no Mokushiroku. Game Studio introduces their new game. Atlas focuses on Sumarno and Kishin King. Koei promotes Sangokushi IV. Bandai releases television anime Slam Dunk on Saturn. Konami discusses Power Pro 95 Opening Edition for Saturn. Micronet works on Pachinko Harem Story. Imagineer announces Pretty Fighter. Takara brings DX Jinsei game to Saturn. Kadokawa Shooten releases Lunar on Saturn. Nihon Busan hints at more Saturn news. Virgin Games reported on Sega's E3 presence, showcasing Saturn titles, including their game Spot. This page outlines how to fill out an attached survey postcard for the magazine, providing instructions on writing clearly with a black pen, filling boxes correctly, and using leading zeros for single-digit answers. It then presents 3 tables: hardware list, software list, and this month's articles. The hardware list includes various game consoles such as SEGA Saturn, HI Saturn, Mega Drive, Mega CD, Super 32X, PlayStation, 3Do, PCFX, Super Famicom, PC Engine Series, and Neo Geo, along with accessories like game controllers and CD players. The software list is a long compilation of game titles spanning a wide range of genres. Notable titles include Aqua World, Winning Post, Wing Arms, X-Men, Jex, Clockwork Knight, Virtual Volleyball Ball, Daytona USA, and many more, indicating a diverse selection of games covered in the magazine. Finally, this month's articles previews the content of the magazine, featuring articles on games like Landmark, Data Station, Saturn Reader's Race, Virtua Cop, Yu Yu Hakusho, Kabuki Clash, Didno Shokutaku, D. FIDA, The Emblem of Justice, Mizuki, New Release Title, Power Pro 95 Opening Edition, Twinbee Taisen Puzzle Dama, SimCity 2000, and Darkseid amongst others, suggesting a focus on recent releases and popular titles for the Sega Saturn and related platforms. The survey questions at the bottom are basic demographic and preference questions related to gaming habits and magazine content, asking about gender, age, occupation, Sega Saturn ownership, reading habits, reasons for purchase, and opinions on the magazine's content. This page is all about the puzzle game, Heisei Tensai Bakabon Susume, Bakabons. It highlights the game's slapstick humor and accessible gameplay, describing it as a falling-type puzzle game that anyone can easily pick up and enjoy. The page mentions the game has a full-screen opening animation and showcases 8 of the characters that appear in the story mode. These characters are introduced with screenshots of gameplay and short descriptions of their abilities or traits. They include quirky characters like Reino Ojisan, known for his catchphrase and using blocks with hearts, Pistol Omawara-san, who uses heart markers, Camera Kobu, who uses flash to white out the opponent's field, and Ryunosuke, who is difficult to deal with in matches. Others mentioned are Okama no Kyudai, Kage Otoko, Sanbo Matsuo, and Ningyo Yoneta. The reviewer seems impressed with the game's presentation and humor, particularly the opening animation and the character designs. They emphasize that 2-player battles are especially fun, with exciting special moves. This page is focused on the Sega Saturn game Race Drivin'. It's showcasing the near completion of the Saturn port, boasting a 90% completion rate and an expected July release with a price of 5,800 yen. The article highlights the game's appeal as a realistic driving simulator, originally from overseas arcades, and mentions its surprising real-world application in French driver training schools. The page details 2 main modes: Arcade Mode, which is described as a faithful port of the arcade version, and Real Mode, a Saturn original mode featuring enhanced texture processing for improved graphics. Arcade Mode is said to include the same 3 courses as the arcade: Super Stunt Course, Autocross, and Hard Drivin' Course. Real Mode is described as having 3 renewed courses tailored for the Saturn, named Old Sarth Dune, evoking European scenery, Windy Forest, set in a forest, and Rainbow Road, featuring a large waterfall. The article emphasizes the beauty of the textures in Real Mode. Screenshots demonstrate both modes, showcasing the visual differences and gameplay. There's also mention of a replay mode, allowing players to review crashes from different angles, which is highlighted as a key feature for learning courses. The reviewer seems enthusiastic about the game, emphasizing the thrill of driving and the beauty of the environments, particularly in the Saturn-exclusive Real Mode. The Sega Saturn version of Race Drivin' features 8 playable vehicles, an upgrade from the arcade original. Cars include the beginner-friendly Sports Star and Classic Star, with balanced performance. More challenging options like the high-speed Speed Star and Mad Star offer greater acceleration but less grip. The Roadstar provides a stylish mid-range experience, while the Wingstar offers surprising grip. The 3-wheeled Baby Star provides nostalgic fun, and the Power Star is designed for ease of use. The game supports racing controllers, enhancing the arcade feel with improved analog steering. The reviewer highlights the realistic feedback and challenge, particularly praising the experience with a racing controller, suggesting it significantly elevates the gameplay beyond even titles like Sega Rally. This article focuses on the Sega Saturn version of Layer Section, also known as Ray Force or Galactic Attack, showcasing mid-stage areas. The game, 60% complete at the time, was playable up to Stage 6 at a recent toy show held from June 1st to 4th. The Saturn port aims for arcade-perfect gameplay and control, making it a desirable title for shooter fans. The article highlights Areas 3 and 4. Area 3 features difficult-to-see laser beams, recommending lock-on lasers for safety. Area 4 involves destroying structures to alter enemy attacks. Adjustable difficulty and continuous firing options are included for all skill levels, with a planned fall release. The demo provided an arcade-perfect control scheme. Positive player reception at the Tokyo Toy Show is also mentioned. School Ghost Stories is a deceptively simple, click-based horror game. Players must carefully observe the screen and strategically click to avoid damage, rather than relying on random button mashing. The game incorporates elements reminiscent of Myst. The article previews the first 2 chapters. Chapter 1 focuses on avoiding damage, with a school map outlining potentially dangerous areas like the staff room and science lab. Chapter 2 centers on collecting Haniwa fragments within the staff room, detailing item locations and damage triggers. The article suggests calling the phone 4 times to escape. The preview concludes with a promise of further item explanations and a plug for the School Ghost Stories movie, slated for release this summer. The reviewer humorously highlights the game's spooky atmosphere, referencing ghostly encounters. This page dives into Quo Vadis, a simulation game that's being touted as a serious strategy title, not relying on character popularity but on deep gameplay mechanics. They're really emphasizing the innovative battle system, called simultaneous movement and simultaneous attack. Apparently, you issue movement orders to all your units at once, and then combat also happens simultaneously, aiming for true realism, they say. The game also boasts a multi-scenario system that focuses on human drama, promising that your choices and battle outcomes will influence the story. Another key feature is the rank progression system. Your protagonist's rank will increase based on your performance in battle, leading to better units and equipment. Visually, the page shows a mix of 2D map screens for movement and 3D CG battle scenes. There's also a section introducing the main characters, showcasing their portraits and giving brief descriptions. Characters like Hal Baranchian, Irina Millar, Sales Madera, Adela Karn, Maria Snyder, Wolf Dolklesh, Alicia Portman, and Benjamin Bach are featured. The reviewer seems quite optimistic about Quo Vadis, noting that even at 65% completion, it looks promising for the Saturn's strategy game market, which is still developing. Release is set for September 29th, priced at 6,800 yen, and it's a single-player strategy simulation game. This page is all about the upcoming Sega Saturn game, Fire Pro Gaiden, Blazing Tornado, which is part of the Fire Pro Wrestling series, but with a focus on entertainment. They're really pushing the excitement factor, saying the game will have fans cheering and matches that are incredibly exciting. The presentation is being ramped up, with features like zoom in on big moves. The page details the game's basic rules, which are a 3-minute single fall match, with victory achieved by a 3-count pinfall, submission, 20-count ring out, or referee stoppage. In case of a timeout, they will enter sudden death. It also highlights the control system, emphasizing stand position, combination moves, and even the ability to guard against attacks, which is a first for the Fire Pro series, and adds depth to the gameplay. The developers chime in, saying they are aiming to create a pro wrestling game that stands apart from typical fighting games, focusing on delivering heated matches that only pro wrestling can offer. The game is slated for release in August, is currently 65% complete, and it's intended to be a powered-up pro wrestling experience for the Saturn. The next page focuses on the Sega Saturn pinball game, Digital Pinball: Last Gladiators. It highlights the game's realism and introduces its 4 different pinball tables, emphasizing that each offers unique gameplay. For the Radiators table, the tip is to aim for the circular target at the top right, called the arena, to trigger multiball. They suggest hitting it multiple times and shooting from the left flipper as a standard technique. The Knight of the Roses table description talks about drop targets. Completing the drop targets spells out roses and unlocks multi-ball with 3 balls. They mention this table is slightly more challenging compared to others. Dragon Showdown table is said to utilize the left and right ramp lanes for various features. Lighting the samurai spot and then hitting the dragon hole starts multi-ball on this table. Lastly, for the Warlock table, the strategy involves constantly using both left and right ramp lanes to rack up points. Multi-ball is triggered in this table as well, offering a speedy and exhilarating experience. The page also includes a pinball terminology section, defining feature as bonus points or extra balls, ramp lane as the lane or path, and lit as the state of a lamp lane after passing through it, which then allows targets to award bonus points. And a side note, the game was slated for release on June 23rd, priced at 5,800 yen. It's described as a full-fledged pinball experience recommended for pinball fans. This page is part of a SEGA Saturn RPG special feature, the 3rd installment in the series. It's focusing on the game Riglord Saga, highlighting it as a 3D tactical RPG. The page emphasizes the game's 3D graphics, stating it's the first full 3D CG RPG on the Saturn. It points out the tactical combat system utilizing grid-based movement and terrain height, offering 4 viewpoints. 2 key gameplay elements are discussed. Firstly, the inspiration skill system, where characters learn new skills by using existing ones, raising their skill level, and unlocking more powerful techniques. Secondly, the importance of action points in battles. Action points govern all character actions like movement and attacks, influenced by character stats and levels. Peace. Careful action point management is crucial for strategic play. Screenshots illustrate battle scenes, menus showing skill selection, and character portraits. There's also a section mentioning the game is 75% complete and scheduled for release on July 21st, priced at 5,800 yen. The overview section at the top also lists other RPGs covered in this special feature, including Magic Knight Rayearth, Blue Seed, Kushinada Hirokuden, Shining Wisdom, and Tengai Makyo Gaiden, Daion no Moku Shiroku, alongside an interview with Shoji Kokami. This page is diving deeper into Riglord Saga, focusing on a scene called Ancient Battlefield Encounter with the Hostile Genusai. It's interesting because even though it's called a battlefield, the point highlighted is that you don't actually fight here initially. The story unfolds with your party meeting Musashi, Akebi, and Kuroyasha. Then, Genusai appears, looking quite menacing, and wants to cause trouble. Apparently he's a powerful figure from the east, aiming for world domination, and is set to be a tough opponent for Arthur and his group later on. He's described as heavily armored, with strong defenses, and you're warned to watch out for his underlings. We also get a glimpse at other enemy types called shock troops and foot soldiers. The page also introduces Arthur, the main character. He's a prince, skilled with a sword, and surprisingly adept at magic. His stats are shown as pretty average, except for his luck, which is apparently high. After this encounter, Shishimaru guides the party to a forest. It's revealed that Musashi officially joins your party at this point, persuaded by Elias, and it seems Akebi and Kuroyasha also join. The page includes screenshots of the battlefield map and dialogues from these story moments. It's setting the stage for the adventure and introducing key characters without immediately throwing you into a full-blown battle. Scene 2, Maze Forest, presents a linear path to the exit. The player must manage Elias's MP due to frequent battles. Genusai, a formidable Eastern warrior, deals significant damage. Leveling up against foot soldiers and shock troops is crucial for survival. Players encounter the ninja enemy type, also from the east. Elias, a priestess, provides essential recovery magic. After Genusai's departure, the party is surrounded by Arthur's men. Shishimaru's relation to the princess is revealed, and Musashi realizes a deception. Akebi and Musashi join the party, with Musashi possessing a good shikigami. Players level up, increasing HP, MP, and other stats. Saving the game is now possible for the first time. This page details Scene 3, set in Queensland Palace B, one of what seems to be a role-playing game. The main objective is to escape. A gameplay tip advises players not to get greedy with treasure chests and to prioritize escaping if Juza appears, as he is very strong. It's noted that until the end of this section, the only enemies are rush soldiers. There are character introductions for Shishimaru, described as a powerful beast warrior within the party, linked to Genyu, and Hector the Halberdier, a retired knight with strong attack power but slow movement. The page mentions there are only 2 treasure chests in this area, containing recovery items that restore 200 horsepower and 10 stamina each. It suggests grabbing them if you have the, which means if you can afford the time and risk, otherwise focus on escaping. When it comes to enemies, rush soldiers will appear in waves, and Juza will show up last at the stairs leading to the next level. It's advised to place weaker characters like Akibi in doorways before opening them to prepare for enemy encounters. The story progresses with Arthur seeking help from the Wise Man of the Clouds, but the Wise Man will only speak with the Queen, Arthur's mother. The next destination for the party is Queen's Nose. Before heading to the mountains, prepare in Queen's Heart. This town offers shops: a weapon shop, check for upgrades; an armor shop, fully equip your party; and an item shop, stock up on recovery items. Remember to equip purchased items outside the shops to see parameter boosts. Talk to townspeople for information about Genyu and potential allies. The guide introduces Musashi, a ninja warrior, and Akibi, a healing priestess. Queen's Nose is the next destination, where the Wise Man resides, signaling the start of a challenging journey. This page is focusing on the Queen's Nose trial in Riglord Saga, emphasizing it as the start of a new adventure. After preparing in Queen's Heart, the party now heads to Queen's Nose to meet the Wise Man. The page highlights the mountainous terrain and enemy encounters. The gameplay tips section points out that enemies tend to gather in groups, suggesting focusing on defeating them one by one rather than spreading attacks. It mentions that enemies are less likely to move and attack if kept at a distance. The page showcases various enemies encountered in Queen's Nose: air guys, which use magic attacks; ardlers, 2-headed flying creatures vulnerable to arrows; and saurers, described as strong and intelligent monsters with weaknesses to spirit magic. The story progresses as Arthur and his companions reach the summit of Queen's Nose. After defeating all enemies, they meet the Wise Man of the Cloudy Sea, who refers to Genyusai as a title for those who control the eastern lands, and reveals that Genyusai has 12 warriors serving him. The Wise Man implies that Arthur needs to defeat Genyusai and needs to gather at least 5 companions to challenge him. Although the Wise Man cannot directly join Arthur, he offers his support, encouraging them on their journey to find allies and face Genyusai. This page is all about introducing some of the characters who will become your allies in Magic Knight Rayearth on the SEGA Saturn. We've got Evan, who is a master of the spear and a skilled fighter, always ready to use items and skills. Then there's Diana, a powerful female warrior wielding a massive sword, known for her strength and courage. Next up is Ash, a genius strategist, cool and collected, who also uses magic and can transform into a dragon warrior from the Dragon Kingdom. Pretty cool. The article mentions these visuals are all from the game itself, and they're drawn by the same folks who worked on the TV anime, which explains why the original character Sarah fits in so well visually. They're saying the game will have a lot of anime-style scenes, which sounds promising. It notes that the journey is still just beginning for Arthur and the gang, and teases what kind of experiences and story developments are ahead. It looks like we'll need to wait till next month for more on that. The game is currently 50% complete and is slated for release in August, priced at 4,800 yen. There's also a section focusing on Sarah, the original character, mentioning a familiar scene with Wind and Furio. It seems like Sarah might be going through some tough times, and is maybe connected to Wind and Furio somehow. It makes you wonder if she and the others will find happiness in this other world. The next page delves into the quirky RPG Blue Seed, Sidana Kishi Densetsu. The page highlights the unusual objective of collecting pants in this Saturn RPG, suggesting it's a key gameplay element. It jokes about whether the real goal of the adventure is pants collecting, despite sounding like a standard RPG. The article mentions a cooperative attack system that can be learned from a character called Pants Detective, located on the first floor of the National Land Administration Office. To learn this powerful attack, players need to collect a certain number of animal pants. There's a section about hidden cards that amplify attack power. Apparently, by fulfilling specific conditions, players can acquire these powerful hidden cards, which are only distributed once per battle and can significantly boost attack power. The page shows examples of these cards, detailing their effects, such as increasing attack or defense for all allies until the next attack. The page also includes a Super Digest section which briefly describes the game's story, mentioning characters like Momiji and others in the game, and hinting at mysterious events and antagonists. It sounds like there's a deeper narrative beyond just collecting pants, involving ancient ruins and mysterious powers. In Blue Seed, Sedana Kishi Densetsu, the story shifts to the Shinjuku arc, where the team confronts a rampaging god. The narrative splits into two groups to counter Gufu, one of the four heavenly kings who acts independently. One team heads to the Metropolitan Government Building's observatory elevator, while the other attempts to access a computer on the 18th floor. A challenging mid-boss battle with a transformed Gufu on the 45th floor awaits, emphasizing cooperative attacks. Gufu's power is substantial, with high HP. The story promises further developments with confrontations against the remaining heavenly kings, and exploration of diverse locations like MT-Asama. The fate of Kyo remains uncertain. Furthermore, the introduction of Nelson Tokuhara, a high-ranking official, hints at potential intrigue. This page unveils details about Shining Wisdom, positioning it as the newest title in the Shining series, although it's emphasized that unlike other entries, this one is an action RPG. The story is set in the kingdom of Odegon, a land that was once protected by spirits known as Jinns, who battled giants. Eventually, the Jinns sealed away the giants, but lost control of their own power in the process, and became sealed within labyrinths themselves. Now, a threat has emerged, seeking to release these Jinns and unleash destruction upon the world. We are introduced to the main protagonist, Mars, a brave young man from a lineage of heroes in Odegon, skilled in combat and determined to face this looming danger. Another key character is the Queen of Odegon, described as a pure princess caught up in events and facing peril, who will encounter Mars during the unfolding crisis. The game is stated to be 60% complete and is slated for release in August, classified as an action RPG. There's also a spotlight on the Fire Jinn, one of the spirit enemies in the game. This page fully unveils the stage for Shining Wisdom, the Odegon Kingdom. It presents a detailed world map of Odegon, highlighting various key locations. These include Odegon Castle itself, the castle town, the royal tomb, and labyrinths themed around sand, water, volcano, and wind. There's also a location marked as the Millennium Tree. The page elaborates on the labyrinths numbered 4 through 7, explaining that each labyrinth, sand, water, volcano, and wind, seals a Jinn representing earth, water, fire, and wind respectively. It mentions that orbs are placed within these labyrinths, and the Jinn's power is sealed inside them. Odegon Castle, location number 1, is described as incredibly beautiful, likened to Cinderella Castle from Disneyland. The reviewer seems impressed by its design and mentions it embodies peace, encouraging players to battle Mars and go Mars to protect this peace. Finally, the Millennium Tree, number 8, is presented as a symbol of rich nature, structured like a tower. It hints that players might need the power of Osarusan to climb it, with more details promised on the next page. We also see artwork of the Wind Jinn and Water Jinn, and some game screenshots showcasing gameplay in a labyrinth and around the Millennium Tree. Shining Wisdom's action-focused gameplay is highlighted, emphasizing the importance of engaging protagonist actions. Mars, the main character, has diverse moves like morphing into a monkey, using the Osaru Mind to climb trees and access new areas, a stylish sliding action, and the ability to grasp and throw enemies. These actions, though powerful, avoid excessively lethal techniques. An interview with Sonic Company Limited President Hiroyuki Takahashi reveals the game's development progress, with story elements nearing completion and a planned summer release in America to coincide with the Saturn launch, pending localization. Takahashi cites Zelda as a key influence, expressing a preference for real-time action RPGs and viewing the genre as still evolving. This page delves into the magic system of Shining Wisdom, highlighting its unique approach of eliminating the traditional MP concept for spellcasting. Instead of MP, the game employs a button-mashing mechanic to power up spells, described as having a shooting game feel. The page illustrates this with wind magic, showing how continuous button presses generate a tornado attack. It further showcases the utility of magic for puzzle solving. Using fire magic as an example, players can use fire magic to burn down trees, revealing hidden paths and entrances in the game world. Another section emphasizes power-up combinations with items, indicating that combining items with magic can enhance spell potency. Screenshots demonstrate how item combinations can dramatically amplify the visual intensity and presumably the power of magic attacks. The Shitenai section continues the interview with Hiroyuki Takahashi from Sonic Company Limited. He reiterates his strong belief in the action RPG genre and the potential for further evolution, suggesting that Shining Wisdom aims to demonstrate this evolution by offering real-time action and engaging gameplay beyond just magic use. He mentions the freedom of map exploration and fast-paced action elements like dash moves are key features. Takahashi expresses a desire to create challenging yet rewarding gameplay, hinting at hidden dungeons and secrets accessible through skillful play, rewarding players who struggle and operate well. He concludes by stating there are many elements in the game that will be revealed to create a sense of discovery and enjoyment for players. This page announces Tengai Meikyu Gaiden, Daion no Mokushiroku, which translates to Far East of Eden Gaiden, the Apocalypse IV, as a large-scale RPG coming to the Sega Saturn. The article highlights the game's impressive CG and 2D visuals, even raising the possibility of it being a 2 Candelas release. A press conference was held on May 19th by Sega and Hudson, where a demo movie was showcased. The text emphasizes the gothic horror elements of the story, and mentions that the game is currently 20% complete and aimed for a spring release. The page is intrigued by the number 666, which seems to be a recurring motif in the game's design and themes, as seen in character visuals and section titles. Hudson's development team, represented by Yasui Kazunori and Nagayama Yutaka, expressed their enthusiasm and ambition to deliver a large-scale CG experience that surpasses player expectations. Red Company's planning team, including producer Hiroi Oji and illustrator Tsujino Torahiro, discussed their design philosophy, stating they are drawing inspiration from manga and movies to create something meaningful for the next generation. They also mention a shift in setting from Asian themes to an American context for this installment. The article concludes by describing a demo scene featuring a character, Raijin, amidst flames, and the ominous 666 imagery, noting it was a strong preview despite being a partial showing. Shoji Kukami, a creator known for theater and film, is developing an RPG with his new team, Imaginary. Inspired by classics like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, he acknowledges the development challenges, including timing, music, and budget constraints, yet emphasizes the team's passion for games. Kukami believes dialogue should be concise and functional, differing from modern RPGs that prioritize rapid progression. He aims to recapture the journey-focused experience of early RPGs. In a humorous aside, Kukami wishes for a super console, the parental Saturn, capable of playing games from multiple platforms. The profile details Kukami's diverse career as a playwright, director, essayist, and film director, highlighting his longtime love for games, including Dragon Quest II. This page continues the interview with Shoji Kukami, who believes that dividing the market by hardware is detrimental to game development because it reduces budgets. He remembers feeling the Sega Saturn was expensive at launch, despite Sega's confidence in its software. However, he acknowledges the Saturn's potential for animation and cinematic elements within games. Kukami reflects on the evolution of RPGs, particularly Creedrum-based ones, noting a trend of prominently featuring protagonist faces, which he feels can be less immersive than older styles, where players named their own characters and used simpler avatars. He values player imagination and agency over overly defined characters. Turning to his Super Famicom RPG project, GOD, or Gods Orde Deus, Kukami explains the title stands for Grow or Devolution, emphasizing the core concept of growth in RPGs. The game is set in a near-future Earth in 1999, where an alien invasion has occurred. He is handling the scenario and direction himself, with character designs by Tatsuhiko Egawa and music by Kosuke Demon. The battle system will feature visually impressive chakra and psycho powers. A unique diary system is planned to help players recall past events upon reloading. Kukami hopes many people will play it, but jokingly mentions it's ultimately up to producer Okada to decide on user playability, suggesting someone should write Okada a letter about it. This page is a Sega Saturn software complete guide. It's really hyping up the hottest games for the system after its launch, and this issue is definitely focusing on Panzer Dragoon and Daytona USA. They're promising complete coverage of all the latest secrets and hidden techniques for these titles. It looks like they've got dedicated sections for each game, with Panzer Dragoon starting on page 110, Daytona USA on page 111, and Greatest 9 Baseball Game on page 114. The main image on the page is awesome, featuring the iconic dragon from Panzer Dragoon with its rider, really setting the tone for the Sega Saturn experience. This guide unveils secret techniques for Panzer Dragoon. Players can unlock an episode select by entering a specific code at the title screen, allowing selection of any episode and difficulty, including episodes 5 to 7 on easy. Another secret, appearing after clearing hard mode without continues, is the SEGA logo girl. The guide also reveals classic cheat codes, an invincible mode, inputted at the title screen, to prevent damage, and how to play episode 0. A unique mode with a depleting health system and dragon speed adjustments. Finally, it includes an HP always zero trick, a self-destruct option usable during gameplay. This page reveals hidden horse characters in Daytona USA, specifically Daytona Uma and Daytona Uma 2. It seems these are secret cars or characters that replace the usual race cars, making the game even more bizarre. The page is titled, Surprise! Parent and Child Horse Appearance Test. Suggesting these horses come in pairs. To unlock Daytona Uma, you need to achieve first place in endurance mode, using either automatic or manual 4 transmission. The difficulty setting and course don't matter. If you succeed, Daytona Uma will appear alongside the regular cars in the car selection screen. Daytona Uma 2 is the parent horse, and it seems there's a smaller child horse that appears with it. The article mentions that while visually similar to the original Daytona Uma, the Uma 2 has different performance characteristics. The automatic version of Uma 2 has a top speed of 325 km per hour, and accelerations grip rated C and D respectively, while the manual 4 version hits 329 km per hour with A acceleration and C grip. It also highlights that the child horse follows the parent horse's movements. Developer AM2 comments are included, stating that the idea for horse characters came from wanting to add something fun and unexpected to the game. They mentioned the team was already adding upper-level horses and thought it would be amusing to include a horse pulling a child horse behind it, leading to the creation of Daytona Uma 2. The article concludes by saying the presence of the child horse doesn't have any deep meaning. This page is packed with Daytona USA secrets. It kicks off with a cheat code to instantly unlock all 6 hidden car types. Apparently, if you press right, down, L, R, C, and Y while holding start at the title screen, bam, all hidden cars become available. It mentions normally you'd have to place within the top 3 in races to unlock them, and first place for the Uma cars, but this cheat is for those who find that too tough. Then, the page dives into the name entry background music, revealing a massive list of 73 songs you can listen to during name entry. The developers from AM2R&D are interviewed and explain this as a hidden treat, letting you enjoy Sega game music. It turns out 23 of these tracks are from the arcade version, with a whopping 50 new songs added just for the Saturn version. They even list out the 23 arcade tracks and the 17 additional Saturn tracks separately, along with the 3-letter codes you need to enter to hear each song during name entry. The tracks are mostly Sega CD music and include tunes from different Sega teams, not just AM2. It's mentioned that the Fantasy Zone music might be a bit different on Saturn due to sound source differences. This guide outlines 3 techniques to improve lap times in Daytona USA. Waza to crash involves intentionally crashing into barriers at specific angles for speed boosts. Gear shift technique utilizes rapid gear shifting between first and fourth to maintain speed through corners. Pitting goal for time reduction exploits pit stops before the finish line on beginner courses to potentially gain checkpoint advantages. The page also presents the AM2 official time attack battle intermediate results, showcasing player rankings from various gaming magazines across different course difficulties and race types. Finally, it reveals 33 hidden background music tracks, accessible in the Saturn version. These tracks, selected by the AM2 staff, are accessed during name entry and are drawn from various classic Sega games, offering a nostalgic audio experience. This page is about the Sega Saturn baseball game, Greatest 9. It features a guide with winning strategies for 3 different baseball teams, the Giants, Hanshin, and Oryx, written by different reviewers. The first section, Win with Giants by London Kobayashi, focuses on the Giants team and emphasizes their strong batting lineup. The reviewer, a Giants fan, suggests that hitting home runs is key to victory with this team. The next section, Win with Hanshin by Jam Ojizan talks about the Hanshin team. This reviewer suggests improving the batting order and highlights specific players like Ishikawa and Wadayama to focus on for success. The final section, Win with Oryx by Kosuje Makoto, focuses on the Oryx team and suggests using fast players at the top of the batting order to get on base and score runs. The reviewer highlights the importance of pitcher Noda for Oryx's success and advises strategic pitcher changes to manage fatigue. The page mentions that pitching is not the main challenge in the game, but hitting is where players should focus to win. It also notes that Greatest 9 is based on real baseball data from the current season and hints that more advanced techniques can be found on the back page. This page is a super early report, directly from Sega AM2, covering the Virtua Fighter 2 demo for the Sega Saturn that was showcased at a toy show. It's from Volume 6 of Express Neo, the official Sega Saturn magazine corner. The big news is the first playable demo of Virtua Fighter 2 on the Saturn, running on a new OS called SLG. The demo was available at the toy show from June 1st to 4th. The article emphasizes it's a scoop and the fastest report, detailing the Saturn version of Virtua Fighter 2. Excitingly, the demo revealed the first appearance of two new characters, Shun Dai and Lion Rafale, in the Saturn version. Reviewers got to see these characters in action for the first time on the console. The article mentions there were a total of 11 characters available in the game. Apparently there were 3 different demo types on display at the toy show. One demo focused on showcasing the new characters, Shun and Lion. Another was a 2-player versus mode, featuring Lao and Pai, and a third demo highlighted the new backgrounds and stages in Virtua Fighter 2, specifically Pai's stage and another stage. These demos were running at a smooth 60 frames per second, just like the arcade version, and were displayed across 7 monitors at the venue. The crowds were impressed with the visual fidelity and smooth animation, noting that the characters looked very similar to their arcade counterparts. Sega AM2 showcased the Virtua Fighter 2 demo at the toy show, highlighting Lion Rafale and his Mantis Fist move. The Saturn version, running at 60 FPS like the arcade, accurately reproduced Lion's movements, particularly his Mantis Fist, in impressive detail. Screenshots compared the arcade and Saturn versions, revealing simplified backgrounds, but character models and movements were remarkably similar. The article specifically calls out the improved texture mapping in the toy show demo compared to older builds, bringing the characters closer to their arcade counterparts despite polygon count reductions. AM2 staff emphasized their focus on faithfully recreating character animations and camera work to capture the essence of the characters, hoping players appreciate the presentation and smooth animation. This page showcases the Virtua Fighter 2 demo from the toy show, emphasizing the ability to display 2 characters on screen simultaneously. It includes several screenshots comparing the visuals of the Saturn demo to the arcade version. The article notes that while the Saturn demo uses fewer polygons than the first Virtua Fighter on Saturn, it achieves a cleaner and more visually appealing look, getting closer to the arcade version's quality. There's a queue and a section with Yasushi Oka, the development chief for the Saturn version. He explains that the toy show demo is still a work in progress and not representative of the final Saturn game. He mentions that the Saturn version development is progressing alongside the demo creation, utilizing the new SGLOS and aiming to make it as good as Virtua Fighter 2 on Saturn. The development team is currently tackling data compression and input system challenges. They aim to ensure smooth character control and implement collision detection. Eidoka concludes by mentioning their past work on US and PAL versions of the original Virtua Fighter, stating they are now fully focused on Virtua Fighter 2 and are working hard to deliver a great game for Saturn, asking fans to look forward to it. Scoop section reveals the Saturn version character design is also progressing alongside the demo production. Yu Suzuki, head of AM2, discusses the upcoming Virtua Fighter series music and the development of Virtua Fighter 3. The soundtrack CD for Virtua Fighter 2, Dancing Shadows, is releasing July 26th, featuring character-specific vocal tracks. Produced with professional musicians, the CD aims for a high-quality sound, similar to a regular music album. Regarding Virtua Fighter 3, Suzuki is researching new technologies to create a game exceeding the series' previous framework. He describes his development approach as using the best available resources. The Virtua Fighter 2 Dancing Shadows CD includes a non-sale bonus, the CG Portrait Collection, a set of 22 centigrams images, 16 previously unreleased, intended to inspire the visuals for Virtua Fighter 3. This page features a scoop on Virtua Fighter 3 development and further entries in the Virtua Fighter series. According to Suzuki from AM2, Virtua Fighter 3 is being developed with a strong focus on improved controls, making it feel significantly better to play than Virtua Fighter 2, although visually, it might initially appear similar. They are aiming for more dynamic and human-like character movements, with improvements planned in areas like hair animation. The page also highlights further expansion of the Virtua Fighter series, with mentions of a Super 32X version of Virtua Fighter and Virtua Fighter Remix for the SEGA Saturn. Virtua Fighter Remix is described as a Saturn version based on Virtua Fighter 1 but remade by AM1, using Virtua Fighter 1 as a base but with graphical enhancements. It's mentioned that while the moves are the same as in the original, the source code is entirely from AM2. This version is planned for release in Japan in July and is also expected in America. Images showcase gameplay from Virtua Fighter 2 and Virtua Fighter Remix. There are also sections titled Make Beauty Pay and Dancing Shadow Sarah, possibly linking to the Dancing Shadows CD and showcasing character art. Finally, the Gold Discs Select Screen section talks about the CG Portrait Collection bonus, CD, included with the Dancing Shadows soundtrack, featuring 22 centigrams images, many of which are new, and intended to inspire Virtua Fighter 3's visuals. This page introduces the SEGA 3D Game Library, or SGL for short, which is being touted as a new OS for the SEGA Saturn, designed to make 3D game development much easier. It aims to address the perception that PlayStation development was simpler for 3D games at the time. The article highlights that this SGL development environment is now available for rental at a comparatively affordable price of 130,000 yen per month. The rental package includes a Silicon Graphics Indeedee workstation and software like Soft Image 3D, making it a comprehensive package for developers. Screenshots on the page show games developed using SGL, including Virtua Fighter Remix. The article stresses that SGL makes it significantly easier to create 3D games, even showcasing how character models like Akira from Virtua Fighter can be more readily produced. It's also mentioned that SGL is based on industry-standard OpenGL, making it more accessible for developers familiar with that API. The page features an interview with Mr. Kawamura from AM2's research section, who discusses the origins of SGL and its advantages. He emphasizes that SGL makes it straightforward to output 3D graphics, overcoming previous technical hurdles. He points out that integrating 2D techniques is also a key strength of SGL, enabling developers to easily combine 2D and 3D elements, which was often a challenging aspect in game development. Essentially, SGL is presented as a tool to democratize 3D Saturn development, making it faster, easier, and more accessible. This page showcases the sample demos available in the SGL SEGA 3D Game Library, highlighting its practical applications. We see the tutorial manual, which is described as an entry-level learning guide with 10 chapters and sample programs to progressively teach 3D development. The toolkit and reference manuals are again mentioned as part of the SGL package. There's a section called Supervision Words, which explains that SGL is designed to express a sophisticated design philosophy. Then we get into the exciting part, the sample demos. There are 4 demos labeled A to D. Demo A is polygon creation, focusing on the basics of creating polygons, showing how to manipulate parameters to make shapes. Demo B is multi-joint polygon basics, which demonstrates how to create articulated polygon models, like a windmill, suggesting applications for character animation. Demo C is humanoid polygon creation, and it features Akira, the Virtua Fighter character. This demo shows how to create and animate human-like polygon figures, with Akira walking and running at 60 frames per second by changing parameters. Finally, Demo D is 2D scroll and polygon synthesis, which showcases the integration of 2D scrolling backgrounds with 3D objects. It mentions that combining 2D and 3D in this way was traditionally difficult, but SGL makes it much easier. The page concludes by emphasizing the real-time development speed improvement with SGL, reiterating Mr. Kawamura's comment about immediate visual feedback on the Saturn screen, greatly speeding up the development process compared to older methods. This page dives straight into the E3 show with a report from Sega AM2's manager room, and check this out. There's a photo of him with Michael Jackson. The report gives us a feel for E3, stating that Sega Saturn was the star of the show. They had a big presence alongside Sony and Nintendo. Sega really pushed the Saturn, highlighting it as their main attraction, and even announced the price of Virtua Fighter and the Saturn console at $399 right there. They talk about Saturn games flying off the shelves, like Panzer Dragoon, Daytona USA, and Clockwork Knight. Sony was also there with their PlayStation, and Nintendo were showing off what would become the Nintendo 64, then known as Ultra 64. There's even a bit comparing strategies of Sega, Sony, and Nintendo at the show. Next up, there's news about a VF Graphics exhibition, which is all about Virtua Fighter. It seems Nobuyuki Arai, who designs the covers for this magazine, created the graphics for the exhibition. They mentioned the visuals were really impressive and detailed, including different versions of characters like Lion and Shundai. Lastly, we get a review of the Back to the Future, The Ride, at Universal Studios in Los Angeles, and they are calling it the best ride in the world. The reviewer describes it as a super immersive time travel experience, using a lot of CG, and reckons it's the ultimate in entertainment. The next page kicks off with AM2 Research Lab News, hyping up a Virtua Surf exhibition version. It looks like someone has achieved the impressive rank of 15th Dan in Virtua Fighter 2, which is being showcased here. There's a section talking about Character of Fire, with a flame design, but it's more of a visual style element than anything specific about a character, it seems. Moving on, there's news about upcoming new products, which are Virtua Fighter-themed figurines. They're showing off UFO Catcher SD figures coming in September, and Virtua Fighter character model kits planned for October. Then there's a comment section about the magazine cover. It seems to be themed around Virtua Cop, but features characters called Leiji and Smarty. Apparently, these characters are actually from Dynamite Dika, which is known as Die Hard Arcade internationally. The cover design process is discussed, mentioning the inspiration and character choices. There's also a Hagaki Great Recruitment section, which is like a reader mailbag campaign for AM2 Express Neo. They're giving away special t-shirts as prizes. Finally, there's an AM2 Research Lab Gallery section showcasing fan art, and it looks like female characters are proving really popular among fans this month. This page presents a SEGA Saturn soft review section, showcasing pre-release impressions of games. Two games are under the spotlight here. Game Expert, set for release on June 9th, priced at 8,900 yen, and Pretty Fighter X, scheduled for June 16th at 7,900 yen. Game Expert is reviewed by three groups: the Lady Users Group, the Game Mania Group, and guest game writers. The Lady Users enjoyed the variety of games like Mahjong, Shogi, Go and Reversi, finding it user-friendly even for beginners. The Game Mania reviewers highlighted its accessibility and considered it a good standard collection of games. The guest writer also recommended it for families, praising its polish and variety, despite a slightly higher price point. All reviewers gave it positive scores, with the guest writer giving it the highest score. Pretty Fighter X, on the other hand, received much harsher reviews. The Lady Users Group appreciated the character designs but felt the gameplay and controls were lacking. The Game Mania Group heavily criticized it, finding it uninspired and behind Super Famicom fighting games in quality, pointing out control and originality issues. The guest writer echoed these criticisms, noting the animation and fighting mechanics were subpar, and, while acknowledging the anime-style visuals, deemed it unnecessary for serious players. Both Game Mania and guest writer groups gave it very low scores. In short, Game Expert is portrayed as a solid, family-friendly collection of classic games, whereas Pretty Fighter X is seen as a disappointing and unoriginal fighting game. This page features reviews of 4 upcoming SEGA Saturn games. First up is Digital Pinball: Last Gladiators, praised by reviewers as a proper and realistic pinball simulation, feeling very authentic with great sound, likening it to the experience of a real pinball machine and comparing it favorably to games like Devil Crash and even pinball tables based on Star Wars and Whitewater. Next, we have Blue Seed: Kushinada Secret Legend, a card battle RPG based on the anime. Reviewers noted the game recreates the anime's opening and includes Saturn-exclusive animated scenes. However, opinions were mixed, with some finding the card battle system tedious and the RPG elements underwhelming. The story itself is considered average, and battle scenes are visually unappealing. Moving on to Heisei Genius Bakuban. Go! Bakubans, a falling block puzzle game. Reviewers found the core puzzle gameplay simple and familiar. They highlighted the impressive demo, but expressed concerns about the overall gameplay becoming monotonous and controls feeling a bit off. While the demo was engaging, the overall assessment is lukewarm, suggesting it might only be a decent puzzle game at best. Finally, there's a section asking, why a card battle? Seemingly as a critique of Blue Seed's game design, questioning the RPG elements and card battle integration. This page reviews 4 SEGA Saturn games. Shinobi X, featuring polished graphics and easier gameplay, received positive feedback. High Roller, a vertical shooter, disappointed with its casual approach and unremarkable visuals. Dark Seed, an adventure game, impressed with its visuals and atmosphere, but its high difficulty posed a potential challenge. The guest writers section analyzed the new Shinobi, praising its action but questioning its adherence to the series' roots, feeling it lacked the classic Shinobi spirit. Digital Pinball. Last Gladiators earned the highest score for the month, while Heisei Genius Bakuban fell short of expectations. The editorial recommends Digital Pinball as the top choice, and anticipates interesting titles in July. This page is a celebration of Mega Drive and Game Gear games aimed at users of those systems, calling it a Mega Gear Party. Visually, it's showcasing the Mega Drive 2 console with a controller and the Game Gear handheld. Below these consoles, there's an image from Sonic Drift 2, featuring Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Dr. Eggman racing in carts. The page highlights some games available for Mega CD 32X and Game Gear. For Mega CD 32X, it mentions Super Baseball 95, Miracle 9, Comic Zone, The Ooze, and NFL Quarterback Club 95. For Game Gear, it lists games like Wrestle Pro, which is likely referring to the Japanese title for a baseball game as Fight, Pro Baseball Twin League, and Shining Force Gaiden. The text emphasizes that Sega's standard games are gathering here for this party. This page continues the Mega Drive and Game Gear party, showcasing 2 games in more detail. First up is Super Baseball 95 Miracle 9 for Mega Drive, touted as the ultimate Mega Drive baseball experience. They are highlighting its quarter-view perspective, claiming it's an industry first for baseball games. Apparently, they've refined the strike zone display to be more realistic. They've also added a girl mode, which simplifies defensive play by automating everything except the pitcher, making it more approachable for beginners. There are 3 game modes: Open, All-Star, and Pennant, offering different levels of play. Next, we dive into Comic Zone for Mega Drive, plunging into the world of American comics. The page introduces Turner, a cartoonist who gets sucked into his own comic book creation, facing off against the villain Mortis. This game is described as a hardcore, violent action-adventure, with intense, hand-drawn comic-style graphics and dynamic action sequences. It's emphasized as a single-player experience, where you battle through comic panels, defeating enemies, and progressing the story. They really want to get across the over-the-top American comic book feel and the hard-hitting action. This page continues the Mega Drive party with a look at The Ooze, an action game where you play as Dr. Jacksox, a scientist transformed into a slime monster after a toxic gas incident. Your body size represents your health, and you can use parts of your body to attack enemies in this action platformer. Switching gears to the 32X, we have NFL Quarterback Club 95. This football game boasts the strongest quarterbacks, with 28 NFL teams and 19 famous players. It's packed with over 430 formations and enhanced with beautiful color graphics thanks to the 32X hardware. The goal is to reach the Super Bowl in this visually upgraded sports title. Moving on to the Mega LD section, we have Library, an edutainment title from the Mega LD Library series. This one focuses on the 7 Wonders of the World, chosen by the mathematician Philon from 2nd century BC. Using Hivision CG, it explores the mysteries of lost ancient civilizations. It's described as edutainment software that combines education and entertainment, produced by MMCN Productions.
Lastly, still on Mega LD, we have Goku.
This adventure title stars an artificial life form named Goku, navigating underground passages and ancient cities.
The aim is to access the Aramata Great Library.
The CG production is by Ito Hirofumi, and the music is by Haruomi Hosono.
It seems to offer a sense of hyper-realistic adventure within ancient city environments.
This page highlights some new games coming to the Game Gear and Mega CD. First up is Riddle Pro Baseball Twin League for the Game Gear, a baseball game promising a realistic stadium feel even on the small screen. The reviewer mentions that the players and teams are all real, and the sound is well done. Screenshots show gameplay from both attacking and defending perspectives. Next for the Game Gear is Shining Force Gaiden Final Conflict. This RPG continues the series, featuring familiar characters like Michaela and Adam, with the same battle system fans know and love. The story seems to be a side story, with a sci-fi twist and hidden characters to discover.
Moving to Mega CD, we have Shadowrun.
This cyberpunk RPG, set in Tokyo in 2053, focuses on the dangerous city of Shibuya. For the Super 32X, Virtua Fighter is showcased. The reviewer points out the improved polygon graphics, taking advantage of the 32X hardware to enhance the visuals. Back on Game Gear, Magic Knight Ray Earth 2 is featured, a sequel to the RPG Magic Knight Ray Earth. It mentions special presents for female players. Finally, Suku for Game Gear is presented as an action RPG, emphasizing one-on-one battles and special moves in a fighting game style.
This page continues the game reviews, starting with NFL Quarterback Club 95 for Mega Drive.
The reviewer acknowledges the realistic NFL experience it offers, with updated 94 data and many plays, but feels it might be tough for those not familiar with American football in Japan. They note the graphics are decent for Mega Drive, but could be better, and the gameplay might not hold everyone's attention. Next up is Romance of the Three Kingdoms IV, reviewed on the Super 32X. The reviewer praises it as a well-ported strategy game, highlighting the faster processing speed on the 32X, which improves gameplay and reduces loading times compared to the standard Mega Drive version. They recommend it, especially for strategy game enthusiasts who own a 32X. Finally, Shining Force Gaiden Final Conflict for Game Gear is reviewed as a new entry in the Shining Force series, bridging the stories of Shining Force in and 2. The reviewer enjoys the classic RPG gameplay and finds it accessible even without having played the previous games, making it a good pick for fans. The page also features comments from the reviewers themselves. Akoyama Yuko talks about buying an umbrella. High Rollers discusses getting a 32X and finding good games on it. Jam Ojisan mentions that they are focusing on console reviews this month instead of Saturn. The guest writers section features Tetsu, Takahiro Koichi, and Yukata Riko, who share their thoughts on music and games they are enjoying. Next Level Secret Technique League details hidden tricks for SEGA Saturn's Daytona USA, Romance of the Three Kingdoms IV, and NBA Jam Tournament Edition. For Daytona USA, you can activate the Tireless Advertise demo by resetting your controller during a pit stop to run the attract mode without tires. You can also switch the speedometer to miles per hour using the 2P controller. In Romance of the Three Kingdoms, IV, naming a new officer main character, grants them 99 stat points instead of the standard 70. NBA Jam Tournament Edition offers power-up commands activated by specific button combinations for boosts like increased shot percentages, turbo, and teleport passes. This article unveils hidden features in several classic games. In Tourize, Mega Drive, entering BGLVS unlocks Invincible mode, while BGWPNS grants all weapons. Kyokugen Parodius Da Deluxe Pack, Saturn's PlayStation, unlocks special stages after completion and features a Konami code for power-ups, limited by stages cleared. Tail Concerto, Saturn, gains a stage select via a title screen input. Didaros, Saturn, has a cheat activated by holding L+R on controller 1 and pressing a button on controller 2 for effects like clearing floors or recovering resources. Finally, Complete Live Pro Baseball Greatest 9, Saturn, enables Real Face mode by holding L, R, and Y during data loading. The article also solicits submissions for secret techniques in various Sega consoles, offering a software title as a reward. In an interview, Mamie Kaneda, the voice actress for Shiori Fujisaki in Tokimeki Memorial, Forever With You, reflects on her experience. Initially surprised to be cast by Konami, she almost missed the opportunity. She enjoyed the freedom of the radio drama recording process and interacting with other actors. Kaneda describes her approach to Shiori, balancing the detailed character background with the player's ability to shape her personality. She aimed to make the seemingly perfect Shiori relatable, highlighting the character's growth throughout the performance. Kaneda humorously acknowledges the battle to win Shiori's heart and teases the upcoming Saturn version. The article also features screenshots of the PC Engine game, showcasing the dating sim gameplay. Konami promotes Tokimeki Memorial as a pure love simulation game, emphasizing the addictive nature of influencing the girls through player actions. This page features Mami Kingetsu in a SEGA Saturn supporter special landmark section. The headline says, Shiori-chan is growing up, likely referring to her role as Shiori Fujisaki in Tokimeki Memorial, connecting to the previous page's content. Mami Kingetsu's profile mentions she was born on April 2nd in Hyogo Prefecture. She's currently studying at a university in Michigan, USA, majoring in communications. She's also doing CM narration work and wants to continue voice acting in Japan after graduating. Her formal debut in games is Tokimeki Memorial. She also mentions appearing in Miracle Girl Detective Club 50th Case, alongside Kotono Mitsuishi. When asked about games, she admits to not being very skilled, but enjoys shooting games, Mario-style action games, and car racing games. She also mentions that game centers aren't really her thing, contrasting this with the character of Shiori. The page includes a picture of Mami Kingetsu and a smaller image of the anime character, Shiori Fujisaki, from Tokimeki Memorial. This page is a guide for SEGA Saturn users on how to enjoy movies and karaoke easily using video CD, photo CD, and electronic book formats. It introduces three main products: the movie card, the video CD decoder, and photo CD operator, and electronic book operator, all released on June 23rd with different prices. The movie card and video CD decoder both enable video CD playback on the SEGA Saturn and HI Saturn. It highlights that by inserting the card into the expansion port and setting a video CD, playback starts automatically. Features include playback control functions similar to music screens. A photo CD operator allows users to view photo CDs on their TVs, making the Saturn function as an electronic photo album. It mentions fast loading, zoom, color adjustment, and support for portfolio CDs with audio. It also mentions a bonus CG collection called Clockwork Night. Finally, the electronic book operator is presented as a knowledge treasure trove, allowing users to access dictionaries, encyclopedias, and databooks on 8cm CDs, offering quick searching and learning content. It notes that to use electronic books on Saturn, you need to load the electronic book operator system, similar to PhotoXreads. This page continues the guide on how to get the most out of your SEGA Saturn's media capabilities, this time focusing on video CD karaoke and photo CD gravure. First up, it explains how to set up the video CD option card, showing you just need to slot it in to get started. And it highlights the cool aspects of video CD karaoke, like the easy-to-use menu system for picking songs and controlling playback. It mentions a highlight mode which displays the song lyrics, essentially giving you on-screen lyrics like a proper karaoke machine. Moving on to photo CD gravure, it introduces two discs. Seraphim, featuring China Matsuda, promises high-quality gravure photos, suggesting it's a cut above the usual stuff. Dextrin Dream Chips, starring Akira Kanuchi, is another photo CD gravure title, boasting a mysterious subtitle and hinting at a fantastical theme with amazing costume play. Finally, there's a little bonus for readers, mentioning a chance to win an autographed piece of art. This page showcases the SEGA Saturn game, Sensei wo Tekozura Sete Ageru, which roughly translates to, I'll give you a hard time, teacher. It looks like a teacher simulation game, where you step into the shoes of a new teacher, tasked with managing a group of 5 problem students in their 3rd year of high school. The description mentions guiding these students towards graduation, and hints at various hidden stories within the game. This version seems to be the definitive SEGA Saturn edition, powered up from previous releases. The artwork features anime-style girls in school uniforms. Presumably, these are the students you'll be dealing with. The blue circle announces the release date as August 11th, Friday, at a price of 6,800 yen, and confirms it's a SEGA Saturn exclusive title. It's published by Riverhill Soft. This page is all about the SEGA Saturn game, Graduation 2, Neo Generation. You can see 2 of the game's characters prominently featured. one with blue hair and glasses looking energetic, and another blonde girl giving a thumbs up with a big smile. It seems like this version for the Saturn has even more content than the PC version, packed with school events and activities, promising a deeper experience. The gameplay itself is said to be smoother and more engaging, making the virtual school life feel very real. Visually, the opening animation and in-game scenes are described as vibrant and colorful, something players would be eager to show off. There's also a special campaign mentioned for those who purchase Graduation 2. Every week, 100 lucky buyers will be drawn to receive a special Graduation 2 line art portrait. This campaign runs from August 11th to November 10th, 1995. To enter, you need to fill out a questionnaire included with the game, attach a 50 yen stamp, and mail it in. Lastly, there's contact information provided for product inquiries and info about the latest software and events. And it also mentions that a PlayStation version is expected to be released in October. This page shines the spotlight on Yoshitaka Azuma, the sound composer for Panzer Dragoon. It's an interview with him, highlighting his approach to creating the iconic music for the game. We learn he's a seasoned composer and arranger, born in 1947, with a strong reputation for emotionally resonant music. Interestingly, he was the first Japanese artist signed exclusively to an American private music label, and has a broad portfolio including music for various events and video projects. In the interview, Azuma talks about how he approached game music, treating it similarly to film scores as a creative challenge. He deliberately avoided watching too much of the game footage, except for the opening, to maintain a wider scope for his musical imagination, and to ensure the music would enhance the player's experience. He also mentions that the initial music compositions evolved quite a bit during the process. He emphasizes the importance of the music aligning with the development team's vision for the game to truly succeed. The page also presents a discography of Azuma's work, showcasing albums like the soundtrack for Journey to National Treasures, a program on NHK, Salvation of the Universe, which explores Oriental and Buddhist themes with synthesizers, Akino, which includes music from a news station special program, and Beyond the Ages, themed around World Heritage sites and their profound sounds. This page focuses on the Panzer Dragoon original full soundtrack, highlighting composer Yoshitaka Azuma's work. Azuma discusses the freedom he had in creating this album, contrasting it with the constraints of composing for the game where visuals dictate timing. He aimed to make the music enjoyable on its own while retaining recognizable themes for game fans. Azuma, inspired by Star Wars after seeing the opening sequence, expresses his hope that the music and imagery will resonate with listeners. The soundtrack, structured as episodes, features tracks tied to specific game moments, such as Main Theme, Interceptor, and Boss Theme. Released on June 21st for 2,800 yen and distributed by NEC Avenue with a pinup bonus, the album allows fans to experience the music of Panzer Dragoon independently, mirroring the game's memorable stages. This page is all about the Panzer Dragoon original full sound version soundtrack and composer Yoshitaka Azuma. It highlights how Azuma's music creates a boundless soundscape for the Panzer Dragoon world. The text mentions this is the original full sound version, suggesting it's a complete edition of the game's music. It also mentions that the album is available from June 21st and includes an original pinup. Below, there are details of other original albums by Yoshitaka Azuma. The first one on the left is titled Kokuho e no Tabi, which translates to Journey to the National Treasure. It's described as an original soundtrack and mentions Kokuho, Genji Monogatari Emaki, and Azuma Yoshihiro. The next album is Tsukui no Uchu, meaning Universe of Salvation, and then Ayuno Sato Mind of Genesis, and finally, Beyond the Ages, Toki wo Koete. All these albums have release information indicating they are currently available, and prices around 3,000 yen, 3,500 yen. The page presents these albums as a collection of Yoshitaka Azuma's musical works, showcasing his range beyond the Panzer Dragoon soundtrack. This page is showcasing a reader prize draw for SEGA Saturn Magazine. Up for grabs are some cool items, including 20 lucky people getting to choose their favorite SEGA Saturn game released before July 1995. For fans of Magical Mahjong Girl Po Poem, there are 3 autographed shikishi boards signed by the voice actors of the game. 10 people can win an original telecard featuring 4 Pillars of Destiny Pitograph. There are also Street Fighter 2V water bottles for 5 winners. And for racing fans, 20 sets of Daytona USA and Virtua Striker stickers are up for grabs. The information section talks about the buzz around the Sega Saturn at events like the Tokyo Toy Show and E3, mentioning titles like Fighter Remix, Games from Treasure, and Climax RPG, highlighting the excitement for the upcoming Sega Saturn lineup and its growing popularity. Finally, there's a staff list detailing the team behind the magazine, covering roles from editors and writers to layout artists and photographers, and even special thanks to Megaforce from France. This page introduces Fantastic Pinball, a brand new pinball game for Sega Saturn, which is launching in July and will cost 5,800 yen. The PlayStation version is already available for the same price. This pinball game boasts nearly 100 different features, promising an exciting and thrilling experience. The game highlights its characters as a major selling point, and utilizes a new system to expand the game's depth. They are also promoting the high-quality sound and fantastic visuals that bring the game to life. You can see screenshots of the pinball gameplay and a vibrant cast of anime-style characters. There's even a Ball World high-score campaign happening, where the top 30 players each month can win prizes. Check the software manual for more details. Technosoft is the company behind this game, prominently featured for the Sega Saturn. This page is all about the high-octane action beat-em-up game Neketsu Oyako from Technosoft. You can see the three main characters front and center. A burly, tough-looking dad, a cool young guy with a baseball cap, and a spunky girl wielding a bat. The game screenshots show classic side-scrolling beat-em-up action with vibrant, detailed graphics and what looks like frantic, over-the-top combat against hordes of enemies in various locations, from burning industrial areas to city streets. The page is hyping up the game as a super-burning fighting action showdown, emphasizing the 5 worlds and 15 stages packed with traps, fully voiced characters, flashy special moves that fill the screen, and a powerful soundtrack. It mentions the Sega Saturn version is coming out in July for 5,800 yen, while the PlayStation version is already on sale and doing really well at 6,950 yen. It looks like Technosoft is delivering another action-packed title, following their previously mentioned pinball game. This page is all about celebrating a huge milestone for the Sega Saturn. It's sold over 1 million units. To mark this occasion, Sega, Victor, and Hitachi have teamed up for a special campaign. The second round of it seems. They are releasing a limited edition campaign box, which is a special package deal, including the Saturn console itself and the game Virtua Fighter Remix. It's advertised as a great chance to get a Saturn, and it even teases some Ultra Chance, which is likely related to getting this special edition. There's a release date of June 16th mentioned, so this is likely an upcoming offer. Below that, it details a Golden Disc Virtua Fighter CG Portrait Collection giveaway. Apparently, Saturn users can apply by cutting out the Sega and Victor marks from their console manuals, either for the standard Saturn or HI Saturn, and sending them in on a postcard with their details for a chance to win this special disc. It sounds like they are giving away a lot of them, around 100,000 in total, split into 2 groups of winners. It seems like a big thank you to the fans for the Saturn's success.